Yeah. It would wrap around the table.
Call your story.
Oh.
I'll call finance story.
I'll call government order, first order of business, is accept the minutes of September 2nd, 2025. Motion approved. Charlie, second by.
Mr. Altman,
Sam. And.
Yeah.
Done. Okay, got it. Okay. Ready to go. We're gonna start off with the budget for legislative board, crooked board, page 22 and 23. There's no revenue.
correct? No revenue.
Okay. Legislative board, we have the starts in the middle of page 22, legislative board salaries. Benefits. Office equipment, travel.
There's some changes. The salaries are in at last year's number. The benefits were put in. There was a request by the chairman for some furniture, so I did put $5,000 in for office equipment. Now, some of that can run through the buildings and grounds budget, so if you decide to do that and want to move it to the buildings and grounds budget in his line for furniture that he purchases for the building, that could take place. There's been a request for that. That's why that was budgeted. The amount the prior year was for the speaker, the microphone at the podium. Also changed for 6 was increase the conference expense. More people attending conferences, that amount was increased. Mileage expenses, carpool was increased a little because I believe for the intercounty legislative committee. So that increased a little. And miscellaneous is usually used towards the meal expenses related to intercounty, and if we need anything additional. We're gonna end up 25, there's in that entire account, there's probably about $500. And we still have expenses. We have a carpool mileage, so that budget's gonna be very close for 25.
Any questions for Deb?
Yeah, what chairs are we buying there for? Are we looking to buy them for the?
I want leather coats.
Okay.
No, we got those chairs will come, or we got some old two carpet ones from another place that were not quite a two carpet ones. We had it for those. So. They were all, you know.
How many chairs did you say? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
Mr. Campbell, I don't know if you wanna kick the season with a statement, because I think it's gonna come up over and over and over and over and over and over again about the change in fringe benefits. So I don't know if you wanna make a statement right up front, the fringe benefits are allocated countywide, and I think you've already discussed the increases in the retirement and the health insurance. Because it seems like every year in the workshops, they're like, well, what's the change in fringe? What's the change in fringe? You hear that question 50 times. So rather than you all have to ask the question at each meeting, maybe if just a reminder that we've had 2 significant increases in fringe, both health insurance and retirement. And you'll see that spread through all of the departments you see today and over the next 2 weeks. So just to try to get in front of the questions, I just wanted to kind of remind everybody.
Yeah, and even worse is there's no end in sight.
We don't understand this increase. So
We don't understand this increase, so it's gonna be hard to understand the ones that are still coming. But it looks like health insurance is 20% every year, no matter what now. And retirement, the same type thing, and it even lags a year. So when you give raises the following year, you get a hell of a boost too. So they're the 2 things that are kind of out of control that, we change the things we can change, and there's things we can't change. But we gotta work harder on the ones we can.
Retirement should go down.
Right,
Well,
And
it's gonna go the opposite way as soon as the stock market crashes anyway. You're gonna go up. They raised it high enough that they shouldn't have had to raise it this high, but when it crashes, they'll have a reason to raise it even higher.
This small department saw a $22,000 increase, this small department. So that's why I thought it might be worthwhile to just get in front of it now. You will see this in every department, in every meeting over the next 2 weeks.
22 across the two,
Between the two,
yeah, 15 and 7. Right, we might have.
That was our John was looking.
Well, I was wondering about, like last year, we didn't have retirement or workers' comp. Actual amount, 0 and 0.
We don't pay those until November,
so retirement will go in when I pay the bill in December.
December.
And then workers' comp is sometime between now and December. We do it once a year, the allocation.
And they're usually budgeted pretty close to where we belong.
So workers' comp, the business with workers' comp, the actual will be the budget. So what's in the budget is how I actually allocate the actual. So the workers' comp, you can anticipate what number that number is going to be. Because the number that we allocate isn't actually the budget number. The retirement one is the one that will definitely be different because the retirement is on a different cycle. So the way we allocate the budget is based on salaries. The retirement is an actual based on last year's salary ending March 31st. So because they're two different measurement periods, the number is always going to be off a little bit on the retirement side. But countywide, the number is the number.
Yeah, John?
Yeah, it looks, maybe I'm totally wrong, that you haven't put anything in for raises on the salary.
Not within the departments. But
Right, exactly.
it's budgeted, just not within the departments.
But, and so this line that we're working on right now is not reflecting it.
Not reflective of whatever raises, it'll be in certain groups, it'll be the ones the unions are up or
Yeah,
the
I understand
non-unions.
that.
The unions that are already decided, those are in,
But is it, so, but it's reflected in the whole budget when you're done.
everything is at the moment, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Carol?
Brian, what was that percent or range percent increase? If we talk about employee benefits, not this particular one, the whole budget. What was the percent increase we were looking to?
Did you say it was 40%?
No, just what we need, just employee benefits.
That's what I meant.
Well, I think he's talking about the 20% that you were telling him, the first 20% that you couldn't control.
Oh, our
Health
total
insurance, retirement, workers' comp.
benefits is $20 million.
What's the percent increase going into 2026 that's in this in total?
In benefits,
I could probably get you that.
I think it went from 17 to 20 million, is that right?
I can get those numbers.
I got the sheet on my desk, so they don't.
There's a reason for the question, I guess, and it comes down to an approach. And there are a couple of ways to do this. We can go line by department, and we're not gonna see the fundamentals of an approach. We're gonna be nitpicking on Fringe, and everybody's gonna be rationalizing the increase or not. My recommendation is that we have a conversation about the approach. And it starts right out with, for me, what is the percent increase that we're willing to accept? Literally. And decide that. Because that vote in the end on this budget is gonna recognize that. Is it 10%? Is it 20%? I don't think it's 40%, which is what we're looking at right now.
You're looking at 45.
45. I'm pretty sure 45% is not the number we're willing to accept. There are things in this budget in total, not talking about government ops, I'm talking in total. That we do not control. So,
To 90% of it.
I don't know if it's 90%.
It's close.
Wasn't the percent of the workman's comp, the New York State retirement, and it was 19%. Didn't you give us that percentage rate before?
It's a lot higher than 19 altogether with health insurance and everything. I'm talking about total Fringe was $20 million. I remember the total number in the sheet, but I don't know what the increase, I thought it was from 17 to 20, but I can be totally wrong.
So if we were to keep everybody flat, we're talking at 20%. Let's just have this theoretical.
And that was that's what I said on Friday,
Right,
that there's like 20% baked in before there's anything added.
right.
That's the problem.
Keeping every.
So how do you
department
fix that?
Well, let's have this conversation about where we're willing to go, okay? Is 20% too high? Because if it is, the only lever you can pull is reduce the workforce. Think about the giant levers we have control over, not the ones we don't. And can we afford the we have today? That's the question we have to ask.
And that's what my memo question was. That's what, my question's been for 4 or 5 months now. That's why I asked for a hiring freeze. I don't know what we actually can afford and sustain as a county.
Right,
We do
right.
want to provide the services, but can we do it in a better way, a leaner way? And maybe
Correct.
you give people a set of crutches instead of a wheelchair and someone to push it.
But
There is a way to get there. Right, when they compare wages, they compare to Warren and Saratoga. So I reached out to Warren and they actually employ 50 people less than we do. So yes, their wages are higher, but they're spreading it between a smaller number. That's after I subtracted the adult daycare out because or the adult care, whatever the
Right.
home is,
that
because we don't have one.
that
So,
wasn't necessarily a question for you though, Brian.
No, but I-
Question everybody else.
and that's why I'm kind of suggesting that I'm seeing it the same way, and that's why I presented it that way, but I'm a little more harsh than most, but I like the way you presented it.
But before we go down this, before we go down this line by line, we have to have an understanding, well, the approach we're gonna take and the levers we're willing to pull. If we're not willing to pull the lever, then take it off the table collectively. So if you're not willing to reduce the workforce, then it's 20%.
Right.
That's the reality of it.
Understood.
So if we don't like 20%, somebody needs to start thinking about how we can do things differently in the departments. And there's
I
other,
think that I agree that we have to figure out where we're headed towards for something to aim at. But I think we look at it, even reducing the workforce is not gonna change that 20% too much. Because that's healthcare and retirement and things we don't have control over.
They go away.
Exactly.
People you don't employ, which is where he's coming from.
so is that the lever you wanna pull, right? So you just gotta think about, we collectively have to think about that. I have to. What am I willing to do, to bring us into a level that's reasonable, I guess, to expect the taxpayers to bear the burden, which I am one of them. And 40% is not the answer. I know that.
We all agree 40% is not the answer.
I have an answer for Supervisor Wilson. It's 2.7 million or 31% increase in fringe.
31%.
31%.
It's a 31% increase
Fringe
in fringe.
increase 31%.
Right, but what is that driving the overall budget increase? Is that 31%? No,
It's
it's not.
2.7 million out of whatever the total increase is.
Right. So,
The total amount for Fringe was 20 million, but 2.7 out of 17.1 million.
we have a 31% increase in fringe. What does that equate to,
Like
the increase in the overall budget?
So 2.7
About 20%.
out of 17.
20%.
So roughly 20%. Okay. So,
Ish, yeah.
so right there, if we kept everybody flat, set all your projects and your wish list, figure out how to do it with zero increase, or take it off the table and tell us what you're taking off the table. Are we willing to accept 20%?
Supervisor, that's the other thing that I wanted to footnote, the number I just gave you is these aren't reflective of
The
the wages that are not in the 0.1 yet.
Right.
So this number will actually be
Bigger
different.
and even bigger up here the next year.
So the line of questioning goes to an approach, right? So you gotta pull a big lever to make this budget come down. You can nitnoid the little lines for 10,000, 5,000. That's not gonna move the needle.
At all.
Um. just a question, and I'm not sure on this, so this is why I ask. You know, sometimes we budget for a department that has 25 employees, but really there's only 20 there, but we budget for the 25. Okay, so is there a space in the budget where, how many employees are we budgeted for? And we don't show up to work every month? What's the difference then?
We always budget to the staffing pattern.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
that's exactly why I asked for the hiring freeze, was to quit
Right.
budgeting for the staffing pattern.
So what is that number that we're budgeted?
It fluctuates all the time. We fluctuate for the staffing pattern, for
Right.
totally being full,
Like
because you have to.
I have one in
I
my
understand.
department currently.
Uh,
I have one of those in my department currently. But under our current rules, I have to budget.
Right.
Which in theory, we're levying for.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But again, until we know whether or not I can do without that position, I'm required to continue to budget. Now, the budget officer may come to me this year and say, Al, I need to take that. You haven't filled it in a year, I'm gonna take it. And I'll understand that. We have that throughout the county. Our vacancies aren't as big now as a year ago or 2 years ago. But the rationale, and I don't mean to stretch this out, and I apologize. But to answer your question, so when we look at the positions that are budgeted but not filled, we don't really use the levy to fill them. That's where we've used the prorated fund balance in the past. Right? So when we talk about there's $1 million in payroll breakage, that $1 million normally comes from seats that aren't filled. So for me, when the budget officer puts his $1 million of fund balance in his budget, that number in my brain is zero. Right? If he appropriates $1 million, and I know that I have $1 million give back every year, that to me might as well be a zero appropriated fund balance. So if you remove the positions that we're budgeting, you have to also remove the appropriate fund balance,
Which we did.
which we did. So just a reminder of how that math works.
And that's usually what fund balance was related on, was how much we would save over the year, because you never know which department it's gonna be in. You have no way of knowing. You're not trying to restrict what they have.
Mr. Shaw's famous for his potential fund balance, and that's a real thing.
That's the real thing. So usually the fund balance is what we don't plan on spending. And so like when you see, Charlie sent me art on net cost, and he's really looked at it, and it's kind of a nice way, reminded of us all the things we could have done differently, but politically, some of those things can't be done differently, or legally, some of them can't be done differently. But like, so the $1 million you lost in fund balance wasn't exactly just $1 million. You also lost all that we put in as fund balance when we passed the budget that we expected to get back. So your loss was really closer to the 5 million. Because you actually spent that, whereas we would expect usually to save that. So that's how traumatic last year was. And there was no communication from anyone that was happening in real time until after we passed the budget. And that's really where the setback was. We were set to override the cap. Then we said, no, we can make it because, and no one stepped forward and said, hey, we're gonna lose money here. And knowing that with everything set in place, I'm sure Al would have said, no, I'm gonna lose my shirt and fund balance if we go forward now. We have to override the cap. But that didn't happen. So I can't fix the past. I can only fix where we're going. I like what you said about the approach. And the fact that even when we were down 40 or 50 people, we still provided all the services. So when I asked about the hiring freeze, the worry was that, oh, we need to provide services. We've provided services with a lot less people before. The difference is we're paying them a lot more now and plan on paying them even more. So the incentives there to do things differently, more efficiently, we've come to the terms with that we do have to pay our people, and we realize that. The parameters have already went out, I think, for one union. I don't know if they've gone out for every others. I think just one. So kind of relative to that is where the money is in the budget, and the losses that we already see coming, they're all in contingency. So you're right, that's where the approach is, and that was what I've been trying to say for 4 or 5 months now, and we're finally getting to the reality. When it comes out on paper and you see it, you see what we're up against, but yeah, there's 20% nearly baked right in. And that's what I tried to say on Friday. And when I,
So in a previous life, I've lived through a number of reduction in forces. And there's no easy way to do it. It's painful no matter what. But you have to have a fundamental approach. You have to look at each function and decide, okay, where are you gonna assume risk? And it's not that you don't provide a service, that's correct, but your throughput may be different.
Right.
All right, what you expected to accomplish in a week is gonna be different. And so you may have a wait list. You may be people may be waiting a week or two for an appointment. It may not be immediate service at the counter. And so those are the kinds of considerations we have to take. And hopefully have that conversation at that level first, as opposed to talking about the lines of each department, saying, well, what does that mean? My recommendation is that, we would have a conversation about, yes, we are gonna reduce our workforce. And we're gonna reduce it by this much because that's how much we have to bring it down to meet our percent increase goal, which aligns with our fund balance problem, right? We gotta bring it back. So, what is that number? So if you want to harvest, and I understand, thank you for the math on how that worked, but if those vacant positions have already been harvested, if you will, from an accounting perspective, and so you wouldn't see any value in taking those out, then, that would be low-hanging fruit, right? That's the easy one to grab, but it sounds like it's not gonna give us what we want. So now you gotta ask on top of that. So how deep can you go, right?
that's the dilemma I've seen for 3 months.
Yeah.
That I guess I haven't conveyed that well, so I've been told. But that's kind of the dilemma that I've seen. I actually seen it coming 6 months ago and raised the flag. 3 months ago, I tried to get a hiring freeze because I know the state's already doing hiring freezes. They're not talking about it, but it's happening. Their levels, they're not. And then, I know Lisa's here. DMV's money goes daily now instead of monthly. To the state, so we know they're out of money.
They need to
So we know they're not gonna send us any extra. So all those things add up, and as you hear the little parts and pieces as they fit together, we're gonna have to get real serious on what we have to do.
Right. So from the perspective of, and I'm glad we started with government ops, because that's kind of really the fundamental place we started when we talked about this, right? So which areas can we afford to not afford? Are we willing to take a reduction in the workforce?
So I think we have 3 departments, the large departments, ESS, DPW, and the sheriff's department. Those are the ones most employees. Sam, I think you had.
Yeah, so my question would be, Daryl, I just want to make sure I understand. So we could, in theory, what you're saying is we could take those positions that we have now that are vacant, that haven't been filled, and just go with, back that money right out of the budget for those, and see where we are at that point in time.
Yeah, that's low hanging fruit, right? So they've been vacant for 2025. They've had one position vacant, one former fashion, right? So eliminate the entry level position. Or don't tell the departments what to do. They gotta do some analysis.
Let them come to,
Here's your
that's what
number.
I would prefer. I always prefer them to tell me what they're willing to do. And the other thing is you're gonna have certain areas like the public defender, you're not gonna cut his spots because you want them filled because it only costs us more money if they go to assigned council.
Right.
So there's gonna be nuances like that.
Exactly.
And the county attorney's been so low that he can barely get his work done, so I don't know that I wanna go there. But that's, gonna be up to the board, but I mean, you got a few places where we're so thin that you don't, just because they're vacant, you can't just take it.
John,
At the end of every budget cycle, you're talking about a hiring freeze. And at the end of every budget cycle, when we pass the budget, we say there's no more hiring, and within a month, we're hiring, we're giving in and all this. Do we have a number from last year to now where from the time budget was passed last year till the present, on how much we have spent on personnel changes, upgrades, hiring and everything from last year?
And the budget was passed, I don't have that figure.
And typically you don't have upgrades during the year. You might have a change where someone has a vacancy, they review the position and they're like, okay, I don't need that anymore. So a lot of times those mid-year changes are actually a reduction because you have somebody leaving, you're bringing somebody in at a lower rate, but it is a different type. So you do have a, you know, you don't have anywhere near the number you used to have, right? We used to do that
Yeah.
mid-year all year. And now I bet you have less than 5.
What is
That
it?
would be my guess.
A month ago, we just did that.
And picking up where Daryl leaves off, we figure out what lever we're willing to pull and how hard. We need to figure out how we're gonna do it. One time all the way, because we have a cash problem, and part of this maybe is because didn't have enough cash to start this year with in the beginning, so we need to figure out, are we gonna do this over 2 years? Or 3 years to get 12, 12, 12, get to 36%, which is, I'm not saying that's enough. Or 7, 7, 7 to get to 21, and in the meantime, cash everything that we have a policy issue to address. We should manage our cash and keep our cash reserves and plan for borrowing capitalized expenses that we're planning in the budget. So we ultimately should have a free fund balance that we refer to. The floor is 20%. We were just added the last part of last year. And we've gotten down to very dangerous, right? Now we're at like 8 million and we should be at 21 million,
No, we're at 13 and change.
but we're gonna end the year at 8.
Cash.
We hope not.
But that's what we're
We're
worried
not
about.
worried about the cash part of it. You're
Right.
mixing the two.
Okay, since I'm
Yep.
terms of these, we should, if we go to a bigger cash reserve in the future, if we're able to, we can steer less dramatically when we get to these situations. We seem to be drastically worried right now, justly so. But if we started with a bigger cushion, it would be correctly more intermittent. So I question is it a 2-year increase of 50%, and it's gonna upset the taxpayers anyway. But we should manage it going forward, what they should expect. One and done, or?
Mike, I totally agree with what Daryl said. And Brian, I disagree with what you were saying. If 45% increase in this budget, right? Is that as presented?
Yes, right, what you got.
And have you gone through this? I think you said once you did, and you think you can find some cuts. And if what you think should be corrected from your perspective as budget officer, how much are you talking about lowering this budget?
I was going through it as stuff was coming in. I just got the total picture on Friday and this weekend was a wedding weekend, so I have not seen it in totality, so I can't give you that number right
So
today.
do you have any idea? I mean, are you talking a couple percent or are you talking?
Right at the moment, I don't have a good, I know that 20% is baked in. And then
Yes,
you've got another
25%.
another 10% probably that's in things that are beyond our control at the moment because they're set in play, either they're set in motion. So if that's the case, there's 10% that can probably come out.
Well, there's
More
15 now,
easily.
we're talking
Yeah.
15 now, 10, so.
There's probably 10 that can come out rather more easily than the rest. But I don't know exactly what that number is right off.
So at 10%, you're talking 35% increase.
Yes,
And is that what, Daryl, is that what you're looking for as far as what we have to live with? It sounds like it's 35% we have to live with. How do we get to
Well, without-
35%?
without further cuts, but I don't know that.
Well, you
I don't
won't get
think
to 35% by doing a freeze on hiring freeze. You won't get 10% out of that. You'll get something way less.
Right.
This will kind of go along a little bit with that, and I would ask Brian and Al, because you guys know the budget inside now, and when we get through with these meetings this week and whatnot, that you lay us out X number of options if you see possibilities, anything from cutting workforce to cutting projects. So that we can sit down as a group, make a choice of what we think we can sacrifice or not sacrifice. Shame on us for not knowing the budget inside and out as well as you do. But you guys are able to pick things out that we don't know that are there. And that will give us some options to look at. We can sit here and say we want to cut 5 million or 10 million, but we don't know where. You guys have a lot better idea on it. So I would ask that. of you.
And I guess that's what we need to know, and that's why we have these meetings. So the last 3 years, the meetings have really been meaningless. I get no direction, no nothing out of them, so I'm glad it started this way and that someone else started it that way instead of me. What's up?
So you do get some direction?
No.
Because I personally
sorry.
made a list there.
I'm sorry, I've had no direction as a board. I get 1 or 2 people, but not a direction as a board. So, and Al can vouch for that. We've come away with literally nothing the past 3 years.
And what's interesting about Mr. Skelly's request, you just told me last night. That's exactly what.
Where I was at,
exactly what
yeah.
He just asked for. He wanted to bring scenarios this year. Option A, option B.
I think that's what we need to be looking at.
I really think that.
But I need the board to be on board with that idea and to look at things the way Daryl said. I mean, at this bigger percentage, I may have to cut things I don't even want to cut. Because it's not about me at this point, it's about the taxpayer and what they can afford.
Cassie.
One of the other places that we've had trouble where we have to cash flow before we're reimbursed is the federal programs. And I know a couple years ago, we put money out, we went out for a bin or whatever because we couldn't carry it over. How much of that are we carrying this year? Are they paying better or that's another place that's draining our cash while we wait for reimbursement? So stats on that right now.
Marshall is always an issue for me,
Right.
because they pay when they
Exactly.
want to. I could very easily carry $2.5–3 million
Right.
in receivables in Marshall aid. But so the hard discussion that this board has to have is walking that fine line between, so it is awesome that the DPW superintendent gets our bridges on the tip, because then we're only paying 5%.
Right.
So being on the tip is a benefit to our taxpayers, because we're only paying 5% of a project that we couldn't afford to begin with.
But
The downside is, once you get awarded 2 of them at a time, and they're $5 or $6 million bridges, like we had the Shushan Bridge and Church Street going on at the same time. That was a significant cash draw, which is part of how we got to Mr. Tall's earlier statement. Part of how we got here is we funded 2 very large bridges up front, and we're still waiting for some of that money to trickle back into the county.
So that's what I'm saying, is in a case like that, maybe we should be looking at a different way of bridging that gap and.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. Of that, but there's also, what other grant programs, what is that qualifier, what we're holding on to, which in the end, the grants are a benefit to the taxpayer because in the end, we're not paying as much. But how many dollars do we have floating out there that are, that's another problem.
And
It's causing us trouble with
you'll
cash
hear me
flow.
have resistance when the department head comes in and says, hey, Al, I just got a $5 million grant through DASB. You'll hear me literally suck the air out of the room,
But is
because
there
I know that
another
DASB is probably the slowest payer
way?
in the whole state system. And any of you that have dealt with them, you already know that. So while it's a great benefit to our taxpayers that we got $5 million of state money, we're fronting it. So my cash flow is negatively affected. And do we want to take out a ban against a DASB grant? Under our new philosophy, maybe we do.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
In the past, the philosophy was no, cash is king, right? We may be in a different world now where we are gonna absorb some interest costs to make things happen.
Because
So
in
that
the
we're
end-
not,
Even if you're absorbing some interest costs, instead of having your bridge paid for, 95%, now you're having it paid, 92% or 90%, but still, at the end of the day, it's a benefit for the customer, I think, customer.
the
taxpayer.
taxpayer, which are.
But I think we
customers.
really need to look at how we're handling those, because they're an advantage of ours, but maybe our process of handling that needs to be, creatively thought of and changed, because that is a problem with the cash flow.
And maybe we make the superintendent and the AGFTC know that we can only handle one big one at a time. That's,
Well, you also have, what about the
Yeah.
grants for public safety? Are they paid first or are they reimbursed? as well?
so they're reimbursed as well. Some of those are
They're
$800,000
beneficial.
at a shop too.
I just wanted to throw that,
They're a
nothing
little
against
quicker
the
though,
one
right?
for public safety, but
They,
that's.
they'd be a little quicker.
They pay quicker though. And so that's your difference between your 13 million in fund balance and your 8 million in cash is the money that doesn't come in.
But it's like a point that you haven't mentioned, so it's
Well,
another thing
it's
that
been
can be
mentioned
looked,
so many times.
well, a lot of other things.
I know, and you didn't want me to mention them again, so I'm trying to refrain.
Charlie and Dana.
Yeah. That number is an important number and now we're more aware of it, but Al, is that you have that in a consolidated number in the?
I'm looking it up right now for you, Mr.
Yeah,
Tom.
because I'm looking at it also and I'm wondering if, I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna give you the number as we sit today.
But do we report it as a
Yes,
consolidated,
sir.
because you have it in each one of
Yeah,
the?
it would be an account 391 if you're looking for the account.
I'm looking at the monthly report that you generate for us in our meeting.
That monthly, you don't see the balance statement, and maybe that's something we talk about
Yeah.
changing. Right? Traditionally, you see the revenue expense side of the operation. Maybe because of where we are now, maybe it's a benefit to the board to see the balance sheet side of our operation as well.
Receivables.
Yes, sir.
Dana,
That's kind of what I want out. So you're looking at the receivables that are due to the county at this point?
From like the
Grants.
state and even from like the Marshallese funds and the capital projects.
Yeah.
And DSS is another one. DSS will carry easily $3 to $4 million receivables from the state at any given time that we've again fronted that money.
And that's exactly why we don't know till March or April when you close the books,
So we're due
whether it came or not.
$1,796,000 is what we're due from the capital project. So that's Marshallese money that I'm still got my hand out for. That's almost 2 million in just Marshallese money. And then if you look at the state aid receivables,
I mean, that helps us understand the management of cash.
the cash flow problem, right?
We're getting too.
There's another 1.9, I got another 1.9 out to the state. So I've got $4 million between what the state owes me and what Marshallese owes me, which is also state.
Right.
So I got $4 million.
And that's normal.
We need.
We-
That's normal.
We'll watch it, so it's.
Sometimes it's been really high, but that's like a normal.
It's normal, but
There's
maybe
something-
there's another way.
But it's 4 million that we're out either way.
so there's something else we have to consider. Example, back, while I was first on the board 12, 13 years ago, we went down to pay 5 miles of road. We cut it down. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm saying we should look at the impact to the taxpayer over years because it took us 8 to 10 years to get up to where we should be at a higher cost, because then it took roads that just need to be resurfaced to complete reconstruction.
Yeah,
So there are things you have to take a look at, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't just jump at the easy fruit to pick off
Right.
without looking at the impact.
The
The
last-
parking lot,
the last one.
$500,000, $700,000 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, 1.7 now. So, those are the impacts we have to do. We still have to do the parking lot.
So the third piece of that stool that I didn't get to finish, we've got 5 million out right now in DSS money. So that's $9 million between Marshallese, state aid and DSS state aid. That's $9 million of cash that I've got my hand out for right now. That's for Washington County, that's a significant amount of money. That would be enough to pay our retirement bill without any drama.
I was gonna suggest, can we hold the retirement money for the DSS money?
Why can't we just take it out what you owe us? Okay.
Yeah, just apply it to our bill.
Any other questions? Sue, did you want something else?
No, I was wondering DSS. So
5 million as we sit today.
that's all state.
State
Dana?
and federal.
Dana?
So that 9 million you're saying, maybe,
What's our normal receivable?
no, I know, but if you get some borrow, they're gonna split it off. Yeah, for that. That's what you were getting.
Anytime we have cash, we're able to earn higher than what we can borrow in the environments that we have right now. And that's.
Well, that's a yes.
Yes, I think it's prudent.
And that's one of the reasons why we authorized, I don't think you were here at the TAM.
25 million.
25 million on Friday. That got passed on Friday, so we borrowed 25 million into tax anticipation notes.
But it doesn't help your budget, it just helps cash flow,
Which,
which is a good thing.
There is money to be made there, right?
A little bit.
A little bit.
So I guess
Dollars down there.
this is for the budget officer, so Brian, do you think it would be advantageous to take a look at those positions that are currently vacant? And back out their starting pay or the pay for those would be, and then the amount that Fringe is gonna be reduced as a result of that. Take in, you know, cause I know we planed all of that in, so I'm sure we planed in the health insurance with that and all those other fringes. And see, so we have a realistic number that we're working if we go that route. Is that something that's doable?
That is doable, that's what we usually do.
So there is a question on, are there positions we want to exempt from that? For example, 911's been looking for another person for a long time. They have the budgets.
And I understand that, and so that's what I'll do.
We don't want caseworkers and to keep a big turnover caseworkers. We want to take those positions out. I probably do so.
So then the question is, what's left?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So this is where the discussion went.
And that's what the discussion on the last. Done?
That 9 million you're talking about, how that's if we stop building all the bridges and stop doing everything that need, we're still gonna have that 9 million carried on year after year, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, I think that's a normal number.
I'm looking up now what it was this time last year, just to give it a reference on, is that normal or is that higher? than-
Well, I think Marcia Solis really held us up a long time.
Marcia Shelley, I think that the
Last
1.7 that's due from the projects, I think that's pretty consistent year over year.
It was like.
It's been as high as 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Right, I know a
4
couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that will be there every year.
Unless you stop, if
we
you stop doing the bridges, that number would come down. But then you can't ignore red flags on the bridges.
Right, so you have to close it up.
And most bridges we're doing now already have flags on them. Maybe not red, but they got flags. And ceilings.
Our present budget is how much, or last year? It's like 38 million days impact. Is that what I
The
heard?
current one is 37.9, yes.
38 million.
Yep,
And this year, what's in front of us is $55 million.
yes.
That's the request.
Isn't that hard to fathom?
Well, yeah,
You go
usually you
from
come into-
38 to 55.
Usually you come into budget season and you need to, figure out how you're gonna get $1 million to $2 million out of the budget, not 12 or 13 million out of the budget. So yeah, it's totally a different thing than I've ever seen.
It's not 12 to 13. When you add that to 38, you'd go to 55, you're at 18.
Well, right, but I mean, you
Like,
still gotta get 12 or 13
It
out to
just-
get it
I
palatable
can't
is what I'm thinking.
fathom that kind of increase.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't understand. And what you're implying is it's all to do with the state and the federal government increasing their cost.
Well, their policy.
Because everything we've been
Been a
hitting
problem.
on here is normal business, whether it's Marcelli and we're waiting on carrying 8-9.
Well, that's on cash flow.
That's
The
okay.
cash
No, what
flow
I'm
is
saying
kind
is
of
everything
normal.
seems normal
Yeah,
except for
that, yes.
state and federal funding. And I can't imagine that they could dump that much on us. I'm having a hard time fathoming the numbers. And the numbers on us scare the living daylights out of us. And I know I'm just venting. I mean, I've got enough of this, so I'm
Remember
making
when,
noise. So.
remember what he said is the increase in healthcare, that's not federal, state government, that's health insurance. The retirement cost, that everyone thinks that they're way overfunded in the retirement based on people. And we don't know why the increase is taking place.
But those are two things we can fix. So we don't need to waste our time on those. We need to concentrate on what's at hand.
Daryl.
Just a question to have maybe going into future conversation, like, where I currently work, I know the cost of an employee is per year. On average, it's kind of $85,000 a year, no matter what, that's entry level, kind of lower level here. What's our cost per year per employee? And if we had that number, so you could do the math, right? So even if it's with all the increases, let's just for figures, it's 100,000, right? So you gotta take 10 people out to get $1 million. That's the straight line math.
That's about the math.
That's about it.
And,
But then some departments,
so, if we want to your point, magnitude, $18 million increase. We're gonna take 10 people out, we're gonna get $1 million out of it. I mean, we gotta kind of grapple with that. And get that
Just
under
one
our
thought.
heads.
It's gonna take a lot more.
If we think about
Taken.
the assessment of a large departments, we're getting 65, 75, or number varies.
Yeah, we don't know.
So it may be double. What can?
Yeah.
Scott,
So I'd like to go back to what Daryl said. I agree, we need to set a number, like what we're happy. Are we happy with 10%? Are we happy with 15%? And from there, methodically, like death by 1,000 paper cuts, we just have to, pull it down as much, as much as we can, much as we're allowed to. But I think there's a lot of things that we do that we can look at that we don't have to do as well as we. So, all that in mind, you have base, this is what we want to get to. And then whether it's a $5,000 savings or a $500,000 savings, it's all knocking that down, get to the place we want to be. We gotta know where we want to be.
So in this process, you gotta clarify what's actually in there. Is there anything in twice? Is there an expense in that's gonna be paid for a grant that hasn't rolled over? Well, maybe that expense has to stay out until the grant rolls over the first of the year. So you're gonna correct a lot of things in these next 2 weeks that just aren't accurately done. So that's what we're trying to pull out. And if there is a huge increase somewhere, explain it to us. Is there something we can do about that? Do differently or not do it at all? Those are the things we're gonna flush out in the meetings. And all during those meetings, you can be thinking in your mind where you wanna be, because what you might tell me today might be a different number than you have at the end of the 6 days. But yes, at some point I need to know that, and you need to have that in the back of your mind where you think you're comfortable. I think you need to see the whole picture before you give me an actual number as to where you want to be and get and things like that.
because right now we don't know where the requests are coming and why the requests come in.
Right, we have to understand the big picture. I have to understand the big picture, and that's what I want to get out of these meetings. And I want you guys to ask questions, because some things will hit me a different way, but it might hit one of you differently, that you ask a question, and like, oh, didn't see that coming. So, I mean, we want as much participation as we can get from every supervisor.
I think we're in general agreement that, we're gonna put some hard decisions this year, but we will silver now. We need to continue where we're going. Understand what the departments are. We didn't get too quick at the board.
Ready for that?
Ready for that.
I want to start then, if that's what we're gonna do. And we're going through this like you're recommending. I'd say make it a simple resolution right now. We cut out all expenses to conferences this year. We're broke, can't afford to send people to conference. Every department head, nobody's gonna get hurt. Everybody said how much you gain. Well, you're taxing the people, and I think you've got some pretty smart people here. Cut out conferences. We don't need them. They're a luxury that there is a benefit for, but I don't think the benefit outweighs the cost. So that's I'm making a motion right now to cut out all conferences.
I think some of the conferences are required, because I think some people need to maintain continuing education credits, so you can't blanket wipe them all out, because some of them are definitely needed.
But there's other ways to get the credits online. I mean,
No, they're not
paying out of pocket. Brandon,
So for me to get, like, I have to take 12 credits every year, I pay $300 for a conference fee, or I have to pay for all 12 of those credits. Like, they offer it all blanketed at the conferences for some departments. I'm not saying all of them, but like our department, at least for my credit, like if you wipe out my conference fee, it's gonna be a lot more for me to get that 12.
Oh, I know it, but still there's a savings. Cut them all out, it's a savings. And do it in
It's gonna cost us more.
To do it online.
You think it's gonna cost? You
You
just
said
said
it was gonna cost more to do it online
Yeah,
than it will
yeah.
go to the.
how much is it gonna cost to do it online?
So it all depends. It all depends on the course of the thing, but like my conference is $300. It's either in Lake George or Saratoga. I don't.
And that's room and board and everything?
Oh, no, I don't stay overnight. It's in Saratoga or Lake George. So it's $300 for the conference for me to go and get all 12 credits in 4 days. So like wiping all conferences out is not gonna be the blanket fix for it.
Do you think that's generally that's the rule of thumb with all conferences? When we fly somebody to out west to Vegas or to California, I mean, I'm trying to show you where you can save some money. And then if you want to take individual ones and make it aware where there's a savings, that's a different story. But if you cut them all right out now, and then it'll
Maybe
be
we
way
should-
easier to pick one as.
Well, maybe we should do that with each department, and find out, we know in real property it doesn't work.
For
So-
that one conference.
Right, so let's figure
But-
that out as we go through this week. Let's ask that same question to each department
Okay.
and find out. I think that's a little better than just blanketly doing it because
You
it
haven't
can cost,
started yet.
well, it can cost us
We're gonna
more
end up
money
at
than
40.
in the long run. Charlie?
Move on.
Do conferences have their own dot number in the system?
Yes.
Just
You
go
want-
through it.
You want the number?
Yeah, that would, because
It might,
you can't ask for it.
it might surprise you.
It's not that big, or it is that big?
It is that big. It's $561,000.
$500,000. There you go.
Training, staff development and conferences, $561,000.
It's good to get that, so that's good.
Good to get that, but there's a lot of education people too that brings back to us.
And
That's
training
also
that's
true.
required.
I mean, that's just the countywide number.
Made the
What you do
motion.
with it.
Nobody
Right,
said-
and some of that's probably your public defenders.
They won't get that.
I can-
Okay, let's,
I can print it.
let's
Everybody-
refer it. We've got a lot to go through today. Deb,
Okay, clerk of the board, there's no personnel requests, there's the typical staffing fees, employee. No new personnel. Benefits. 0.4s are approximately the same as last year, just a little bit more trying to do. The advertising, I mean, I know besides what has been spent, I know there's 1,100 out already, plus we got 3 more months to go, so that's a large number there in the advertising. There's no conferences, pretty basic, pretty much the same as last year.
any questions for Deb? Bob,
Step back to legislative board then and see if we wanna. Cut out conferences, you got $5,000 in conferences, so you wanna just not. Go with NISAC anymore?
But we'll definitely circle out.
I think you lose quite a lot.
I do too, you do a lot when you're there.
Lots of times I drive on my own, so I guess I could still go. I just wouldn't get paid to go, but I don't get paid to go now.
Pay your kind, this is the registration fee.
Oh, you're talking about the.
So you wanna cut that out?
Cut it out. You got a lot to cut, better cut something.
You got it.
I mean,
It's bad, it is.
I think it's a bad idea. There was a lot learned.
What'd you learn this year?
Oh, the whole bunch about homelessness.
Homelessness.
Yeah, but you didn't really learn anything, nothing of any value, right? I mean, you got a slideshow.
It's a slideshow.
What's the percentage? Is there a percentage increase in homelessness in Erie County the same as Washington County?
I think the numbers that I looked at was greater in percentage of Rochester.
We did learn why this can play the numbers are different from Washington County, I learned that really quick. Because of there's a hierarchy of where you can put people, and we don't have anything at floor levels to put people in, everybody tries to avoid hotel placements, because that's the most expensive, and that's the only thing we got.
So with that information, how are we saving $5,000 county money?
I don't know, I think
You
it's
paid in.
I think it's valuable to know when we're trying to formulate programs and things and understand what's going on out there. But, like I said, it's.
I think more people should go to at least the legislative conference in Albany, which is not. I think it's.
You don't stay overnight, you just drive down.
We should increase that line.
The legislative conference is now,
You think we should increase that line?
Legislative conference is not in Albany.
Yes.
It's in Niagara Falls.
Oh, well, it'll be in Syracuse next year.
They've changed it this year. They've changed the whole.
Did anybody from DSS go to that conference?
Yes,
Did
that
anybody
comes
from
to the budget.
DSS go to that conference?
not this year, but they normally go.
Well, if that's gonna help DSS, why wasn't somebody from DSS at that conference?
Because it's usually Tammy,
We have had any help here.
it's usually Tammy that goes. She retired.
Regarding the conference fee, I mean, maybe you should determine who should attend 17, or you send one. Maybe maybe there could be a reduction if you decide somebody should go to the conference.
That's
Just
a great point.
suggestion.
How many people went to that conference this year? From Washington County?
Actually, four,
Did all four of you?
but that didn't come out of this budget. The county administrators and the treasurers came out of their budget.
Right, but we still had four representatives from Washington County attending the same conference, spending
That was there too.
4 times the amount of money that needed to be spent. Is that fair to say?
That's also not necessarily true either. There's a whole range of stuff there. There's stuff that Jed goes to, Jeb's. Go there, meeting, I go there.
No,
long.
we're gonna grind for it, when you get to the end of 45%.
No, we'll be 15.
Maybe somebody goes to, their 3 time slots, they go to 3 different things, then somebody else goes. So then you would have 6 bits of information to come back. I just want everybody to understand that there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 at each time slot it's from. So you have more than one person.
What four went to NICEAC?
They did,
And, yeah.
me, Dave,
Dave, why were you there? Oh, I'm gonna single
I was
you
there.
out. Why were you there?
I was there to learn more. Well, there's a lot of different things I looked at. Government operations and strict term. I sit on the operations committee, government operations committee, agriculture, economics.
Okay.
But there was different ones we went to. I went on something about government structure, which I'd like to get the handouts for, because it's very interesting. Learn more about what they looked at, how the structure of the different counties are. How some of the counties have changed their structure to be more efficient. Scott,
How does that equate to $1.09? Are we getting a return on these conferences that justifies the
I
expense?
think we do, because we learn what other counties are doing, how they're facing things. Solving
But-
things
Like that helped.
So you went there for information
with information and education, yes.
and we paid for that.
Yeah.
Next.
I can see the county administrator and chair and the vice chair, treasurer going, they're all people in positions that need that kind of stuff, but I don't.
I personally
What
think,
Deb said,
I personally think
I'm
more
not done
supervisors
talking.
should go.
I have the floor. What Deb said, required people only. I think that's a simple budgetary restraint.
And it's very interesting. I've been to some that you wondered why you were even there, even if you went 3 days. And I've been to some that you went and you're like, wow, this is the best information I ever got. So they're totally hit and miss, but when it gets down to like real properties and they have significant details they need to know, or ESS caseworker, significant detail, that's a whole different thing than what ours are. I mean, they're not really related the same way. So they need the information. So I think that's why we have to.
like I say,
Melissa was first. Before me.
So I wanted to add that it's more than just the education and a conference. It's your opportunity to speak on behalf of your county. NICEAC has a voice, whether we always agree with them or not, right? They do have a voice in Albany. And it's our opportunity to tell what's going on in our county, the needs that we have. And there are times when they take that information and they take it to Albany. We don't always win at the end of the day. In fact, I wish, we're not gonna win it all. But it is that opportunity, and I'm afraid if we cut that out completely, we're not gonna have that, we're not gonna be heard.
So, for example, the start of this was in the budget for money for prisons, county protected by prisons. That conversation started at NICEAC a year ago.
What's the result? But nothing.
Nothing yet.
Well,
But yes, coming up this week.
I think it's interesting because I think we're looking at this budget as the whole rest of our, the county's life. We're only looking at one budget. So we gotta figure out a way to make ourselves financially whole again. And it's not gonna be easy. And I'm looking at it thinking, okay, I mean, I know in a personal budget, sometimes you go, you eat steak and then sometimes you eat peanut butter and jelly. And that's the way you do it until you get whole again. This is the way it works. I think we're gonna have to eat peanut butter and jelly. I'm looking at question marks of, do we really need $5,000 worth of office equipment? Maybe the conference needs to go for a year. Mileage expenses and carpool, maybe that needs to go for a year, with the idea that we put it back in when we can figure out a way to reduce our taxes here, where people can live here in Washington County.
I agree with what you're saying, but I don't think carpool and mileage will get rid of.
Okay, I'm just,
I'm just saying.
right.
Not,
I think we're circling right back to the beginning where Daryl started.
Right.
We get nickel and dime and that ain't gonna save 18 million.
No.
That's where the money gonna come from, just save any thing, I think. There's me one, build up of all the things you take out of the budget.
You could take out the mileage because you could just drive your own vehicle. I don't think that would be a big hit for the supervisors, to be honest. When you're talking about in that certain circumstance, you're referring to us. If we want to go, we can drive our own vehicle. If we want to go, we don't have to put in for mileage or carpool. We don't have to do that.
And what's miscellaneous other?
Usually.
Scott has his hand up, guys.
I'm sorry.
Is that when we hold intercounty? That's when we hold
That's when we hold
intercounty,
intercounty.
where the host always pays.
Scott,
So I haven't been here a long time, but it seems to me like a lot of the times if we can't find one solution that is gonna fix our whole problem, then we throw our hands up and say, well, that's not gonna do $18 million or whatever it's gonna be. That's why I was talking about don't buy paper cuts. We have to go down through every single line and all that will add up. And better money management, I think, is gonna help us. We spend a lot of money in assigned counsel. We could take half of that money, hire attorneys, and probably get back half of that money.
so he's been looking for attorneys for 2 years, can't find them. Go to the private firms out here in this area, they can't get attorneys to come here because you get big, larger money to go to Albany and different areas. It's not the fact that, that's a great idea, you're right.
We spend money to
But we
save money.
can't find them.
We up those salaries where it's more palatable and save money in the long run. It's the long game.
And everybody's trying that, so. And we do all have the same problem.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. And everybody's.
But you're right, this is truly,
Come.
this is truly how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So we're gonna have to take small bites and hopefully consume some of this.
Charlie, then Bob,
Yeah, and to your point, Scott, I think it is what we want to do, but to raise the salaries to be competitive versus the outsourcing that we do at $150 an hour, of which we pay $80 an hour or $60 an hour.
60 it was, 65.
So it ends up almost being a break even because we have to raise the internal salaries enough to be competitive, bring people here. The $150 an hour, we get reimbursed substantially from the state, not substantially, 50% or something. We're stuck in that, and we still are gonna have about $250,000 anyway outside cancel because when we get conflicts, which happens 2 times.
Bob,
Recommend you cut those 2 lines in half.
Conference and knowledge.
No, conference
Office.
Mr. Tull, if it helps, we pay 117 of that 158.
We pay 65 for 60%.
The state pays 50% of the difference between the old rate and the new rate, so we end up paying 117 of the 150.
okay, we're all set there. Let's move on to county administration. which is divisional revenues, so page 31 and 32.
Can we go back to, I just want to ask Debbie a question. Debbie, did you have any, you said you didn't have any staffing requests?
There's a step in for one employee. And the other request that I said was if you start moving positions in the same grade as the senior audit clerks, and mine should be considered.
I just want to clarify this. So I have a senior audit clerk go from a 13 to a 14, two of those? Is that not?
That was, right, I said I didn't want my staff left behind because I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, good. And then the you have a promotion, right? Account clerk to senior account clerk?
I thought that was gonna happen in 27, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Just
330.
wanted to clarify.
Yeah, separate tally,
I'm sorry.
you have a separate tally for the
It's
personnel.
just, yeah. I'm trying
Because then
to
we
clarify.
bring them all up when we come back in
Right.
personnel meeting and look at them in totality.
Double check.
Okay, county administrator.
Please. It's just my organizational chart, which is nice and short. And I have to travel. Yes, I passed out my organizational chart, which is a total of 4 of us. Myself, deputy, purchasing coordinator, and my secretary. And what you're seeing reflects no raises for next year. The increase in the benefits, we'll just spend a lot of time talking about. Don't have any major increases to point out to you. Dues and subscriptions, that's for the County Administrator Association and Samco for our purchasing coordinator. Printing, that $500 is your taxpayer letter. That gets budgeted there and then it gets transferred when you actually go and print the letters.
The question, the labor attorney, that's not a new fee, it's an increase, right?
Right, that you just saw that last week at the committee that is renewed contract.
Okay. But it's not new money, it's a right.
Correct, not
Just proportion is.
right.
Okay.
Part of it.
All right, any other questions for the county administrator?
Not that, but just a general question, you know, we're looking at categories of where we could probably. So is our copiers and, is that under an IT or contractual expense always? Or are they embedded somewhere in office?
So the copiers themselves is under 1660, which is your staff room. Will be budget for the big copiers that departments need. We did cut that in half for next year. Usually budget for 2. Next year we budgeted just for 1 in case it's needed.
Okay.
The copier maintenance that you see under county administration is just the maintenance for our office.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right.
Just looking at where we've been at and how much we've used this year on education and training. And we have 8,000 there. We used 3,500 so far. We were at 2,000, 2,500 a few years ago. The room on the 8,000, where's it?
I think you're gonna have some amount, well, they haven't hit yet, for this year. I don't think there's a lot of fluff there. I attend NISAC, the 2 conferences, one in Albany and then one wherever it is, and if it's not in Albany, then Those are the two conferences really that I go to, and then of course, Zamco is purchasing coordinator, which are invaluable. The one thing that we do budget for, and I would have to see how much it actually is the New World Conference. And that is out of the state. So that is something we could look at if you don't see a value to county employees attending that. I believe we sent 3 the last couple of years. 3 employees.
And that one might be the most valuable.
It's definitely the most expensive. It's
Well, you want
very-
people to understand how to use the financial system. I wish a lot more of them understood the financial system.
So, but my question is, to yours is, it's not under conferences, it's under education, training, staff development.
Yes.
Okay, so to keep apples to apples, if I'm looking for conferences, I won't necessarily find conferences being equal. I gotta look for 2 lines, right?
So the number I gave you was the combination of those 2 lines, because departments tend to budget differently, but the budget.
Okay.
I included both of those lines in my 561,000.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, thoughts on county administrator? Okay. Moving to.
Oh, sorry, did I have any staffing requests for next year? The only thing I did want to mention is I wanted to have our purchasing coordinator looked at as far as being on the exempt salary schedule instead of hourly. Because we do have 1 person in that position, and when there are issues with travel, credit cards, that person is called, so it's kind of a position that's used outside of the normal workday.
Anything else for? Dan.
Thank you.
That's too much.
County administrators on, the county attorneys on 35 and 36.
Okay. Vast majority of the increase in my budget is in 2 spots. First is the Fringe, the employee insurance, Medicare, employee that, and employee benefits, dental insurance, that's 25,283 of the increase, or not quite 50% there. The other large increase is in the consultant line. I've added 20 of that because based on the bills I've received this year for the tax foreclosure lawsuit, they've been running about 3,000 to 4,000 a month. And while I hope not to have my breakage in my current vacant positions to have that available to cover like I have this year, that's the reason for that increase. I tried to budget it, I think is I'm hoping this is going to be a one-time increase, and that after next year I can go back to the 15,000 amount. With regard to salaries, there's a baked-in increase and a change from that was made earlier this year from the assistant county attorney position to the senior assistant county position of approximately 9,100. There are, I believe, at the moment, 4 employee steps. They're included as well, but there is going to be a slight savings if and when I fill the deputy position. There's going to be current 2,000 to 3,000 savings, because that'll be at the base from what it's about 3,000 less than the prior person was making. I've also slightly increased the education, training, and staff development, and just for the board's purposes, attorneys have to have 25 years of, or excuse me, 25 continuing education credits every 2 years. Part of what I've built into that, hopefully staff retention, is every 2 years, there's a biannual registration fee of $375. If you use the county credit card, it'd be $376. Currently, the attorneys are paying that out of pocket. As I said, that's potential retention fee. That would be once every 2 years, and I budgeted that as if everybody is going to be in the same biennial cycle. That may or may not change. Other than that, just the postage has been going up. I increased that by $100. And retirement expenses, I look at already. So those are the major changes in my budget. As for the organizational chart, I provided everybody, as you can see. I have 2 current vacancies. I guess I'll ask the board a third time. I currently have an offer out on both positions. I have to be, if I take what I think the person I've offered the deputy position is probably going to reject it. I think the assistant county attorney position, I think that person could very well take it, but I would inform the board that person is also currently an out of county resident. Which I guess I'll ask the board now, given the current discussion. This again, I'll ask, can I fill those 2 positions? Part of the reason all the budget goes up is obviously I don't currently have the manpower to handle everything that currently comes in right now. Most of my time as county attorney, I've ran a 4-person office, 4 attorney office with 2 people. I did have a 3-week period where I had 4. We've had a few months this year, up until this past month, where we've had 3. I'm not gonna sit here and tell the board I can't handle the position, can't run the office with 3 attorneys. We've done it for most of the last 3 years. But I know when this board hired me, they wanted me to cut down on my court time, and if I have 3 attorneys, I'm not gonna be able to do that. With regards to the travel plan, basically, there's usually 2 conferences for the County Attorneys Association. The one in May involves an overnight. The the winter conference certainly does not. I would indicate that at least this year and last year, the winter conference has been at Saratoga, so there's no issue about staying overnight or travel for that. One thing that has changed, CASA used to subsidize the CLE credits. They no longer do, so we're paying $300 for attending, usually at least spring conference. I'm the only one going to that. For CLEs, just to give the board an idea. For the CLE credits, granted CASA covers part, the other part is actually usually covered out of the DSS budget at the 2 DSS conferences. If that was to be paid out of pocket by the attorneys, you're probably looking at a minimum. Usually most conferences have 3 to 4 CLEs. You're talking probably $300 a pop. That would be out of pocket for the attorneys. And finally, the last page, just because I know that there may be a possible salary adjustment, I just wanted to give context of my position and deputy position. As you can see, the ones that are marked in red are the ones that I'm currently being paid higher than, as well as the 2 positions down in Warren, Essex County for the first assistant. I will say I have an overall budget. I did discuss some of the programs with the personnel officer. I did discuss with both my committee chairman and Mr. Campbell. You were out. I did offer to go over it with you, and I did go over it with Mr. Roselle, who was the ranking member. So I'm open to any other questions. And again, I guess given the discussion, I would ask for some guidance about whether I can fill either of my 2 vacant positions. I would say, obviously, to some degree, the deputy is a more important position because they have to have the same requirements as me. God forbid something happens to me. The supervising assistant currently lives outside the county. She could have been going into the position.
Yeah, so DNI, the consultant fees, yeah, 35,000 Oh, so I guess my question is, if you were to backfill that position, does that give you more time to do that? And I don't mean this negatively, or you just don't have the expertise to do that?
That particular one, I don't have as much expertise as I think that currently needs. You know, ethically, we're supposed to take on matters that we have enough expertise to handle. That current tax foreclosure litigation, that involves multiple counties. With multiple class action suits. We're not part of a class action suit, but we are part of 2 or 3 attorneys who filed multiple actions against multiple counties. That involves, quite frankly, the surplus question as to how far back they can go. I know they're hanging their hat on after the Hennepin decision. State of Minnesota, which arose out of state agreed to pay 7 years back, which New York State currently not gonna do, and if they do, it would be far more expensive than it would cost Minnesota.
Right. Thanks, Steve.
So question, Dan brought it up, he's got offers out to 2 people based on the open positions. He wants clarification from us, whether he should continue to film or not. I know he needs at least one. Back him up. So, Scott,
Can we give a waiver on that, residency requirement? For this position, no?
Well, we, for the assistant, we don't need one. For the deputy, especially given part of the angst that happened over the interview with the DSO, I'm sure that's not a road I necessarily want to go down at this point. I think actually you'd probably have to have an amendment to the public officers law in order to do that for the deputy position, but even then, if something happens to me, county attorney has to be a resident. So, you know.
public officers law is state law?
Yes. So when I had expressed to him before to go ahead and hire him because it's such a revolving door. I mean, you got one now and the next minute you don't. Trying to average 3 for the year, even if he can fill 4 once, it's gonna be a tremendous undertaking at this point.
Is that a consensus of the board here? Anyone not consensus? Pardon? Oh, I can see over there.
So it was just, at the last finance personnel, I think one of those, we discussed the procedure for backfills. And it was stated at that time that anyone that had a vacancy at that point could go ahead and fill that. Any new vacancies would be reviewed by the personnel officer, myself, and then brought to the personnel committee for approval. So is that changing now?
Well, my question is, there's been discussions potentially about cutting positions to get to a number, and especially with the assistant who, if I had to lean, I think I would take the position. I don't want to hire somebody and then tell them especially if they're leaving another county, which they would be doing. I don't want to hire them and then 3 weeks later tell them the position.
Exactly. Yeah, understandable. And I guess that's why my question to the supervisors is, are we changing the procedure that was just sent out to department heads? Actually, this morning, the email just.
You said that one was grandfathered in.
We talked about those be grandfathered because
Right,
Brett
but-
also had one she made an offer to.
So there's no need then, right? You're
Well,
just mentioning-
as I said, it's more, I understand we have
Budget forward.
we have a budget we're trying to make cuts in, and I understand.
Oh,
I
so
want
they
to make
should-
sure
Right.
that
So
if I
you want
make an
all
offer,
vacancies.
you know, I'm not setting a person up to say 3 weeks later, oh,
You know,
you no longer have a job and can't get your old back.
We grandfathered in them.
I wasn't trying to change anything.
So that, I guess that's my question. Do you want department heads, when they come to their budget meetings, to bring up their vacancies that have already been approved because you might change your mind? That's what's happening now, and I just want to make sure we're sending the same message.
I just think when it comes
I
to
don't think we
attorneys,
should.
nobody's hiring them. I think you have to look at the attorneys differently, just because we're so. I want to make sure I have permission before I don't know what I
Don't blame
do.
you.
This is your 3rd permission, so.
I understand that, but you know, things change, so I want to make sure.
Scott,
You're out, the 4th one.
So float into that position as acting, and then they don't get the full position until they work, if they move into waxing now. That, I wonder how we can use.
no,
Not really.
he has to be able, the person has to be able to do his duties immediately. There's what happens. goes away. On vacation to Hawaii for 6 months to get away from us.
Well, I am going for a week and a half next.
I'm 6 months.
So no,
Right now, we don't have any.
right now, we don't have a deputy, we have a supervising assistant. And believe me, it is what it is, you know, that's,
I'm just looking for ways to get there.
no, I understand that. And, you know, maybe at the beginning of the year, there could be some options that I don't think I want to consider more losses.
Okay, we're past that one. Anything else for Dan? Thank you. Next.
I apologize, I have to leave, I have a draw prepared for.
I'll go here for crowd. All right, Miranda, come on down.
No.
Real property on page 34, revenues on page 4. All right.
Okay, so I don't have very many changes to my budget. My budget is pretty stripped down as far as we can. I did have some minor overtime this for 2025, just because our office has been understaffed, so I did add in $200 and a $500 just to cover, you know, just God forbid something happens, because that's what happened this year. Nothing really has gone up. Mostly, the only thing that I'm asking for this year for my department is a folding and stuffing machine. This past year, currently right now for our tax bills, we use the county treasurers. During June, while we were trying to do the village bills, the stuffer went out. We had to hand fold 1,500 tax bills and stuff them in envelopes, seal them. Again, during school, the stuffer went out again. When the guy came to fix it, he basically told us that it's not sufficient. The machine that they have in the county treasurer's office is just not sufficient to do what we have to do. So he told me going forward, I can only use the machine 2 hours on, and I have to give it a significant break to cool off, and then 2 hours back on. With how fast we have to do turn around with the tax bills, I can't really be depending on one machine that's not really meant for what we need it for. So I am asking in our budget to get a stuffing machine for that is gonna be something that we are gonna be able to use going forward. So that's the only change in my budget, with annual maintenance for it as well.
25,000.
So right now I have a quote for 2296. However, I have an email to back it up as well. The person I'm dealing with, it's a New York State contract. They said that they are in the middle of negotiations for that, and it will be changing in November, as it has not changed over the past couple of years. So it should be 22,000. I did put a little extra in to cover the raise because we won't be buying this until after January. God forbid something moves up in the New York State contract. Yes.
Was what she just said. Would it be better for the county to tap 22,000 contingency now to get out of 26?
Exactly, I was gonna make that.
Buy it now.
Yeah, we need a motion to make that happen.
I just wanted to ask the question
Yeah,
first. to
but
see-
I think that's one of the things you would buy and just take out of the budget. You do it right now before the deals. Yeah.
Want to make motion? I think it's 6,000.
Well,
Breezy.
maybe it needs to come to your committee and we'll vote on it too, just like we normally.
All right, I need a motion from government ops to go ahead and buy the folding machine as recommended by the
At
county.
22,000.
22,096.
I'll move it.
Moved by Sam. Do I have a second from someone on the government ops committee?
Now we're getting.
And this is out of contingency. We have on.
Mr. Rozell.
That's
Mr.
what
Ball.
that.
I'll make the motion. Mr. Rozell. Or.
I'll second it for argument.
Motion by John,
Wait,
Dan,
Well, I'm seconding too. I thought you voted already. I got a question after you vote. Or, well, no, if we're on the right.
Discussion.
Very good. My question is, what do we charge the villages and schools for doing this service?
So it's $1.50 a parcel. I am going to be bringing to you guys after budget season to raise that. As well. I just don't wanna do it right now because we're in budgets for the villages and the schools to be doing their budgets. So I don't think that I can come to you guys, get it raised and then them get it in their budget in time. It is up to you guys. It was my plan to do it
Well,
later this year
my
for.
concern is we're looking for money. And why not put it in the budget that we're gonna have to raise their rate because it's costing us more? I mean, I think it should go in the budget now and you tell the village and the schools, we gotta increase it to this if you want the service. I mean, everybody passes it on to the county and we're all supposed to sit here and.
But this late for them to do it, that's why I was trying to do it for their next budgeting season.
Which doesn't help us until the following year, so there you go, and we need help this year. What's harm in putting it in?
It hasn't been changed in a while, so that's why I figured with the cost of paper, the cost of
What do we
ink.
charge them total? What do you get for?
It's
revenue?
$1.50 per parcel, so schools are around 35,000, for printed bills, a little more than that. Town, counties, I believe,
Well, the towns is all
or
printed.
excuse me, villages, and then towns, we don't charge towns at all to do any of the
Right,
bills.
and I understand that, but the villages and the schools, they have their own taxing entity. And I think that we can increase the revenue stream right there. Some number.
So that's a different subject. Let's finish off the vote on binding copyright. Then vote out.
With Miranda's permission, of course. One thing I would offer the board is if you approve the purchase of a third machine. I wouldn't seek to replace mine. I would work with Miranda and just utilize her machine when mine comes to end of life and not replace mine.
That could work. Cause right now we make it work between his schedule and my schedule, so.
We kind of work together now, so if we were gonna get a better machine, the commitment I could make to the board is when mine comes to end of life, not replace it. And continue to work with Miranda like we do now.
That's not the budget.
Yours are not in the budget.
No, but it might help to know that I won't be seeking to replace mine. Yes, it doesn't help your 26, but it might help your 27.
Okay,
How much is the service contract and do you have it in the budget?
Yep, it's $27.95 and I have it in as 2,800, the budget.
That'll have to stay in next year's budget, won't you buy it?
Yep,
so.
and that's all expenses for them to come, and
Got a motion on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, finance, I need to send a motion into passage.
John?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moved by Sue and seconded by somebody, John, how's that?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Now, how much were you, bring Dan's subject up, how much were you looking to increase, or have you calculated that out?
I have not figured that out yet. I was kind of going to ask you guys what you guys felt when it came to that, or I mean, like supplies are up. We could do 25 cents for,
Guys. That's the question.
okay. We could do 25 cents a parcel this year and 25 cents a parcel the following year, and we'll be up to $2. So it's a small increase. We could do it all at once. I figured with everybody else's budget, we should probably do it incremental. But that's kind of up to you guys to make that decision on what you guys think.
When's the last time it raised?
2019, I believe.
So at $1.
But the
Since
$2.
2019.
You say, Dana, what's your big number?
And I mean, my budget's so stripped that like, we try to do, we have a,
Dollars?
Well, third, you're talking 11,000. What was it, about 33,000, so,
yeah, 30.
so if we go up a third. Gonna add $11,000.
That includes the cost of paper and everything? Because when we file checks, they're 80 cents or $1.40, depending on whether you get them.
And we fold everything, stuff it and seal it.
So I think $2 is on target.
Yeah. But do I.
I'm in
All right.
agreement.
And we're coming around, want to make a motion to allow them $2.
Go to a quarter.
Government out there.
Here's $2.50.
Who was it? Sam and John. All in favor of raising it to $2.
Alright,
Carry.
same thing.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else from Miranda?
Yeah, I mean, that's a simple email to all the respective budget, or, I mean, the supervisors can tell their respective budgets.
Yeah, so the only thing is like, I have to update the fee schedule when it comes to the county fee schedule, so that's a process in itself. To get it finalized, so I just figured it was too late in the year to do that. However, if you guys want me to do that, I can get on it to get out to all of the.
We can move mountains if we
Miranda.
need, move this mountain.
Okay, so I need to subtract something out of here for the machine, 22,000, did you say 96?
It's under 25 and it's gonna be for.
Why are you subtracting?
We're buying it already. So that's coming out. It's coming out of the budget. And then we gotta add on the revenue, a third of whatever that is.
But we didn't say, but they didn't.
So it's under the office equipment line for the 13355.2010.
You're leaving 3,000 in there?
But we did make.
For the 2,900.
Yeah.
So I have that under the 25 or the maintenance contract is under a different line.
Those contracts.
Maintenance contract is that?
Yeah, it's 4120 at the maintenance contract is where,
Check.
but that has to stay in there.
That has
Yep.
to stay,
And that
yeah.
will stay in.
So the office equipment, do you need any of the office equipment or no?
The office equipment is literally just this.
Was just that whole thing can leave.
Yep, so I just put 25 because they said in November, these prices are crazy. I gave
And I'm
myself-
just adding to your revenue 1/3.
Yep, and I can give you an exact number or very
Okay.
good estimate after the meeting.
Very good, okay. Good.
Thank you.
Next. Lisa. Lisa's on page.
Well, it's got revenue. I think Lisa's gonna put meters up outside, market spot, start charging. There you go. Add that to the revenue line.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Especially if you're gonna get on a break.
Okay. Page 5 is for revenue.
I was gonna start with gave each organizational chart. Okay, and I put in parentheses. The years of service for each person. Kind of give you an idea of, we have a very young team in the DMV. Except for our supervisor, everyone's been there 4 years and less.
You should been here 15 years.
Been 14 years with the county.
Off with Kai, okay,
Yeah, 1.5 with DMV.
okay.
That was a good question, because I realized there was 2. And so we have 3 that were just hired between April and now, so. All right.
Nothing most glaring thing in the revenue is that, automobile use tax dropped by 175,
Well, I
somewhere on there.
increased the other number because I made a mistake last year. That 608 number came from license renewals. And that's not how it's done.
Okay, I'm just fair enough.
So-
Heart attack.
No, no, because it actually is better, because I increased the revenue on the clerk's fees to offset it, so it
Okay.
really isn't changed, but yes. Should I have warned you beforehand?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
Explanation's fine.
We're actually doing well right now,
So good.
so far so good.
Well, I actually thought it was because we lost so many, gas cars and had all EVs on the road.
Oh, no, that's not the case, not in Washington County.
Okay,
So we're doing well. We're up 75,000 over last year's revenue in DMV. And I don't have an exact number for the clerk's office, but we are up substantially.
any questions on the revenue? Flip page 33. For county clerk, appropriations. Starting in the middle of the page there. 34.
34 and 35.
31.
It's very small, it's very hard to see. So it didn't really increase the amount for overtime. Regular OT, buyouts, we are expecting to have one of the folks in our clerk's office retire mid-year. So we could potentially see some savings there too.
So we did have a question, now, other than retirement of these like departments. I noticed a big variance in some of them, some seem to be a very small percentage, others seems to be larger percentage. Is that just this?
Well, we caught at 9:30 this morning. I tried to get in front of that question, so it wasn't.
Okay.
They'll all be different because they're all different tiers. So if you have a lot of new employees, they're all tier 6.
They're all tier 6.
Oh, that's.
Probably my department, I would guess 5 or 6 are tier 4.
Again, how we allocated it across the county,
Right.
looking at it department by department will not benefit you.
Okay, what are the questions for the county clerk?
Bishop.
Jay, you have something?
Yeah, just looking at the police equipment, that's our cameras and stuff for the,
Not the camera of the passport picture?
yeah. Is that,
No, that was paid for. The DMV stuff that's all come from the state. So the only thing that we really have contracts with are our copiers. We have one in DMV and one in the clerk's office. And we have, IQS, which is our server. We rent, we pay a fee. 4,800 a month. Well, that's for them, and then we charge people in this county. Some bigger counties offer that service for free, but if you want to search IQS, search our database. It's a $15 fee per day, or you can do a yearly membership. So they us back,
so that's majority of the 2,000.
yes,
That program.
yes. Yeah, we don't really rent too much.
And it comes through the state, is that what that is?
What the
That program, or is that, or where's
the
it?
IQS?
Yeah,
We have a contract that we renew with them every few years. We
It's a
look at
third-party
it.
vendor, Mr. Scott.
what is
The
it?
third-party vendor.
Vendor.
Okay.
So that come out of this budget account, is it coming out of IT budget? That's what I heard.
What's on them? Yeah.
Lisa,
That's what she's talking about.
back on revenue, you went over this, but I wasn't following it. Now I'm studying it a little longer.
Yep.
Adopted revenue really, was 1.844 billion. And then it got amended to a little over 2 million, which I'm assuming is the
state grant,
Yes,
Records management grant.
yeah.
and now. And we've taken in 1.2. There's still 600,000 you think is gonna come in?
Oh, yeah, because we still haven't gotten paid for the grant for this year.
Okay,
And we also did not get the grant for next year.
right, but that's offsetting with cost setting.
Correct. So
Okay,
that-
I just wanna make sure I understood that right. Thank you.
Yeah, the grant from the state. They had they went from 12.6 million towards that Laserfish grant to 4.8 this year.
They cut right back.
They cut it back.
So with that being said, though, your adopted budget this year is higher than your requested for next year. So you are expecting.
We're doing it again, because we talked about this last year, we're doing it more internally. So what happened last year was I took a position where we had a senior clerk in my office who left for another position in the county, and that became a clerk position who works on archives.
Yeah, but no, I'm on the revenue side. Why
Oh.
is the revenue less than this year?
Well, because you had the grant money.
Right, well, but with that out of it,
Right.
forget the grant, you're still down 20,000. That's what I was trying to,
It shouldn't be.
that's
because-
why I asked.
Because we're anticipating to make 50,000 more just on license renewals for next year.
Because it was,
So I'm,
it was 1.844 adopted and you got
yeah, totally just,
1.825. Well, we may need all the boosts we can get, so that's what I'm.
that's a good problem to have.
So you're asking to relook at our projections.
Well, if she's up 50,000, I just had 50,000.
Well, I'll show you, and that's why I give you the folders, because that has all that information of
Oh, that'd be nice.
kind of where I got some of these figures.
When your recent staffing pattern request
Yes,
was additional part-time and because of the volumes of the revenue should be.
yes,
Yeah, if it's not, you don't need the extra person.
right.
So one of the two has to be true.
Right, 50,000.
So I'm trying to follow what everybody's saying. What are we doing?
75,000
Are
for
we
the year.
raising that amount?
So we're changing that.
Yeah, we're gonna change that up to add,
1,800,000.
50 to last year, or 50 to what you had?
Requested for revenue.
For revenue.
We're adding 50,000 more in revenue.
Right, from what she'd requested or stated,
What you
yes,
put in, yeah.
but it's only, and when you take out the difference, it's only 30,000 more than last year.
Yes.
Okay, that's where and that's what you want to do,
yes,
30,000 more than last year.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for Lisa? Yeah.
I know that, mobile, is a definite service to the taxpayer. But do you feel, and just in your opinion, do you feel it's definitely paying for itself? It's not costing us more money? I can see the revenue in there, but I wanna make sure that it's paying for itself and not.
Well, I mean,
If it's not,
the equipment's already been paid for, so it isn't really costing us equipment. So you can look at it a couple different ways. The car to bring it is about 1,600 a year. Which isn't a lot with the new configured way that we do it with Granville. The alternating of Greenwich and Cambridge and then Whitehall. I knew some of these questions were gonna come up about money and cuts and all that. So I anticipated that. That's why I have some figures. So
So are you saying, Lisa, 1,500 is really the actual cost? You wouldn't cut any?
if I don't
employee?
cut anything right now, if we
Right.
just leave the mobiles as we have them by this year,
Yeah,
it's the carpool cost is $1,680.
and you wouldn't be able to remove a person from.
No, because you have to
DMV, so
send to.
Really,
send a
just with the car.
supervisor, Have to send a clerk.
And I think
If-
it's a great service.
My other thought, and you'll look at as I included the numbers in your packets.
it's not in there, but I figured it was way quicker to ask.
Oh, it's a good question.
In the 60s.
Because I wanted to show the two, also the difference of the Thursday nights. We added a month this year from April to Our last one is, this Thursday till 6 o'clock. You can't argue. The Thursday night is absolute best. Granville is always our strongest mobile site. It just is. I think it's because of the population. It's on the opposite side maybe of the county. Maybe that's why it works so well. My other thought was, what if we just go to Granville twice a month and negate the other towns? And I know people don't probably wanna hear this, but you're gonna save another $1,000. Just in carpool costs.
And there's no overtime in the offices, we're managing to cover that.
Yes.
Would you need an additional person, a part-timer, if we got rid of that? If we just went to grid? And
I would say what we could do, if you could, have because let's remember, summer months are gonna be definitely busier. If you did the part-time person just the April to September.
There's little places where there could be some small amounts of money found.
Yes.
By cutting down.
Yeah.
But I think some people would rather see a little bit less service than.
And
have to spend.
But
It may not be $1,000,000.
But it's just $1,000 to cut a service for 2 towns. That's what I don't know. They're not my town, so I
Right.
wanna ask that
But it's
question.
mine.
Where are you
Just like
cutting
suggesting.
any cost savings?
You're only cutting the $1,000, she said, so I don't know that
Well,
you.
you said the part-timer.
But we also were asking, one of my asks was for a part-time DMV clerk because of the increased volume in license renewals, which we can't do and that's the other thing. You can't do every service at a mobile site.
Right.
You can only do mostly registrations, plate surrenders. They're happy to look over, but real ID and enhanced licensing, but
So we save $1,000 in carpool costs, cutting
Yeah.
it to all, how much we save on personnel costs?
But that's not in there yet either, right?
no,
You're asking for that person.
I'm asking for that part-timer to continue.
Well, you're doing the work right now without the part-time.
Yes, no, we have a part-time person.
Sunsets, the end of the year.
Yeah, it ends
Like
at,
the sunset.
yeah, it ends at the.
So this
We took a retiree.
That 5,000 cuts, just something to put on the list.
But are we saving $1,000 on carpool? Because that's a revenue stream now that's coming out of carpool.
I mean, we already saved this year because changed it this year and we cut out Salem and alternated.
No, that's not what I'm talking
Right.
about. I'm talking about,
Let's put the
we've
pieces
got a
together.
revenue stream in carpool from all the departments. We cut 1,000 out a year and you're not gonna cut a
yeah.
cost. So you're not saving anything.
Directly, yes.
Unless you cut it.
I have a question. I don't know how far into the weeds we're getting in, because after a while, all you do is make mud down. Is Easy Pass. Why is the expenses going up on the Easy Pass $500? Seem like that should always be offsetting.
There must be revenue in there for it.
Oh, well, the Easy Pass, what happened was this year, they were more popular than I thought. So
Yeah.
I have to pay when the Easy Passes are ordered. They come in boxes of 25.
Yeah, but don't we get the money back?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
on the
but it's
revenue
on,
side.
but it's on
Well,
a
I
different end.
didn't see it on the revenue side.
Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if you've got it separated out, right?
You can look in this lovely county clerk document here, if you look at back for, it's the page 2 of 3 of the second part, Easy Pass, 81, 2075.
Well, where is that reflected in the budget?
Clerk fees.
Page
For
5.
revenue, yes,
He wants to know where the revenue is in clerk.
it's
fees.
it's included in the clerk fees.
It doesn't have its own line item, Mr. Shaw.
Okay, just in
Yeah.
clerk fees.
Unless Dan, you
Yeah.
go into that folder that I gave you.
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to show people all the work that these clerks do, the 5 of us. And this tells you how many and how much money it generated for the county. Well, the county and the state, we only get a portion of this.
okay.
okay?
Yep,
But
I got it.
Goes in. What's in there?
That's fine, as long as it's in there.
Yep.
Your easy pass is kind of a wash, isn't it, correct?
We can make $4 on each one. We're not getting rich, but we're on like our 7th or 8th box at this point, and we only started this in November.
Dollar here, dollar there.
Yep, and we're starting, next week, we start the $12 for passport photo, the 10. The other thing that we have discussed and I discussed with our historian this morning is, he is willing to give back the extra day that he was approved for this year. To go from 3 days back to 2 days.
Okay.
Which is $6,800. So my,
Fishing with that again, I'm sorry.
the historian,
Oh, thank you.
So we're taking that out right now.
What are we taking?
that's up to you. He offered,
Instead of 3 days a week, for the historian, 2 days a week.
And what are we saving by that?
$6,800.
68.
We don't pay him any benefits, so you're not gonna save benefit money.
Social Security and Fringe.
Yeah. Workers' comp.
All done with Lisa?
Bring departments, we have to-
Thank you, Lisa.
All right, thank you.
Matt. Building grounds, revenues on page 6 and 7. Expenses on 4146.
The building account first. The part.
Start with buildings and grounds. You want to with that lead?
Oh, that's downstairs.
Okay.
Didn't think of that.
Page 6 and 7 for revenues for building and grounds.
Charging for, parking it?
Not yet.
Yeah, sorry about.
Charge parking every day and we can pay for our parking lot in no time.
Yeah. Only if we don't drop that account like the state does with its.
Okay, any changes in the revenues you have?
Yep, Cornell's moving out, so that went to a 0,
They left yet or not?
October. And that shows up as like that 18,750.
So they stayed longer than we expected because we thought August, right?
Yep, so we had budgeted for 15, so it's 18,750 if they move out in October, which that is a pretty solid plan. Okay.
Should we be selling rentals? Why'd they move out? You're not treating them right or what?
Yeah,
Push them.
roll them out, please. Public health, the rental, that goes up and down based on how much we do for them. And I don't really know how the whole move over to Burgoyne is gonna shake out, so I kind of estimated that conservatively. We do that Mylar report. I talked with Fran over there. We've been doing a lot of stuff. It is in the capital project, which is also recovery, but I feel like we're doing a lot for them this year, so that revenue may inflate next year, but I don't have a good sense of what it would.
Do we pay that? Does public health pay that or does the state pay that?
Pays it with their Title VI money, if I remember.
From the Mylar, it goes on the Mylar report that we provide to
But the
them.
stuff you did for them this year isn't gonna help you in 26.
Well, it's not gonna help me at 26, but it's the revenue from this year, so I don't know how to predict it, like, we don't know yet.
So that'll just.
But the money you get this year doesn't help.
That'll
your
just be
26
fun out.
budget.
Yeah, so,
Unless they're not
but
gonna pay
do
them.
they have different, like, is it
So I'm
like
saying,
where?
well, the actual amount is 0 right now, because I don't know how to predict what the
you know,
Is this by square footage?
that's part of the.
But I mean,
There's
do
an
they
indirect
have,
cost report.
do they have more square footage now? than they
Over
had?
there? Yes, they do have more square footage.
So you'd expect it to go up a little.
Yeah.
You're just saying you don't have an.
I don't have a
footage
baseline for
this
that
year.
building. Yeah, that's right. And I don't have an estimated, so, you know, you're adopted and then the actual amount, 24, like 25 actual amount. I don't know how to estimate 25 yet.
Right, and so, which doesn't matter to us on the 26 budget at this point.
Doesn't matter.
But
no.
what I was trying to figure out, like, if the space went up 10%,
Yeah.
then you'd think the income would go up 10%. That's what I was trying to get
All
at.
right. That's fair.
I was trying to see if we could add any money to the revenue line.
What's
I was looking
what's
at-
unfortunate,
amending his plan.
the indirect cost report is done this time of year. So the increased square footage will actually
We'll be
benefit
in
27.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll leave it alone. That's what I needed to
All right.
know. Thank you.
Hey, Ben, I think you explained it, but I didn't understand it, and, why was 2024 94,000, yeah, 94,000.
I think that was actually a recoup from a lot of the COVID stuff.
Oh, probably was.
We did a lot. I think if you go back, I think that was where it was starting to catch
That
up.
was probably COVID money paying for all the extras you had to do to wipe the doorknobs and all that.
Aren't we doing all the extras now over
No.
on Burgoyne?
Yeah, that's what he's saying is you'll probably beat the 45,000 in the budget this year too.
We'll probably beat it. I don't know how to predict it though.
And
That'll
so we
just help-
shouldn't.
That'll just
increase
help our
that.
fund balance. Right, it
Not
won't
for
show up in 26 at all. It'll show up this year.
Okay.
Any other questions on the revenue? Moving towards expenses starting on 41. House expenses. That's a retirement, and actually, since I did this, I got informed of another possible retirement next year, but that was after I'd already done for one. It's possible now. Well, he informed me of it. I mean, obviously, they still have to leave, we just try to plan for it. I've had people tell me they're gonna retire for 5 years, and they don't, you know. That's all they can do is plan for it. But this came after this announcement. came out.
I wouldn't pay, I'd wait and see.
The infamous.
Sometimes it's 0 and then they tell me they're gonna retire and I didn't plan for it, you know, so.
And that's how we do it across the county. That's pretty common.
Right. Other ones don't tell you. Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Okay, equipment.
This is 10,000.
Well. House goes 10,000, but other equipment listed is 15,000. So that's different, yeah.
He wants a carpet extractor.
So, yeah. So we don't have one right now, so if ours broke when we tried repairing it we played around with it for the last year. I also suggested that we get 2, because we do have between the jail here and Burgoyne, you know, it's nice to have more than one. We defer one for next year? One, yeah. Or for one. Yeah, we don't have one right now, so. But it shows also, you know, it shows. You can, you know, the fortunate thing with buildings and grounds is you can cut what you want. It's just what you see when you come here. You know, if there's no lights, if there's no heat, if there's no air conditioning, if the carpets are dirty. You just have to live with that, is what you cut.
That's why the choice of your carpet colors.
Could you put one in this, 2026 and then go with one for 2027?
Already saying.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so that gives us all stuff.
There, oh, $40,000.
What are we up, 11,000? Maybe. Weed maker.
Okay, what else is here?
That your electric costs are up 40,000. Your budget request was probably put in before the board locked in their 3-year rate. Do you know if that still fits the rate they locked in?
I believe that, yeah, I believe that Sue went through and fixed
Okay,
those
so I know
and
you-
the natural gas both.
Yes, I know you locked in the rate, I mean, after his submissions.
Yeah.
I think she went.
Yeah,
Okay,
all those.
excellent, thank you.
Okay. Maintenance contracts is actually down.
So the reason why maintenance contract is down is, it is because of our new buildings taking some out of service. Some of our new equipment, we don't need the service contract for the first year as part of the maintenance, package when we bought it new, so boilers, for example, we have 6 new boilers. They don't need to be, we don't need the maintenance contract for them this year. We'll deal with that starting next year. Because we have a warranty and everything that we're dealing with, so.
Strap it on for, 2027.
Well, it does go up and down, like my maintenance contracts will go up and down. Obviously, if we're doing the same service, it always goes up, it never goes down, but stuff comes in and out of service, the less we do with Annex 1, sooner we get out. I can draw back some of those contracts on some of that equipment also.
We got hit pretty hard last year with the units on the building and everything was a service contract.
Yeah, because they were off for a while. So the thing is, like, sometimes what happens is because we're in the process, we don't have the contract yet, so I might still hire that service. It's just coming out of outside contractor instead of a contracted expense. The contracted expense line is something that I know that we are going to do, so we put it in that line. And that way the POs are all cut. I don't have to worry about it, So it floats up and down with outside contractor and maintenance contracts, but.
Is the generator maintenance, is that just on one generator?
No, we have a list of about 30.
Well, that's what but it said one unit, and I'm going, they can't be the.
Yeah, that's all the units are in one contract,
Okay.
so everything from your 911 towers all has emergency.
Well, we had one of our 911 ones burn up or screw up here a year ago. Did they cover that because they didn't get the maintenance on it there?
Well, the contract is for the maintenance of it, not
Well,
necessarily.
I thought we had one that screwed up because it didn't have oil, it didn't have something in it there years ago, but maybe I'm wrong.
Towers.
Okay.
Towers.
On the tower.
I think it was one of the towers.
Yeah,
I guess I don't recall the exact.
Okay.
As
long as the 19,000 is on a whole bunch of them and.
It is, and we put it out to different,
Yeah.
they go. They go for a lot of.
Uniforms and clothing that's just the boots. Is that what that is?
No, that's, shirts
Sure.
and, pants, and so the cost of the uniforms has probably gone up. The rate I enforce them to use them, so they get less now, but if you notice, like, the cost hasn't gone up over the years, it's because they don't, like, we buy a t-shirt with a logo, so it's a one-time cost instead of the maintenance contract, but the problem is the cost of the uniforms has gone up, so us staying level is just because we're providing.
It's the uniforms in your department.
Everybody, yes, I don't, Jen doesn't, and other than that, everybody in the field gets it. Summer help doesn't, but you see, guys who bring out mowing, summer help doesn't uniforms or anything, but the internal guys do. And they could look like a pair of blue jeans, which that's a uniform, pants, t-shirts,
You feel that that's a necessary expense.
the uniforms.
Yeah.
Appreciated expense, I guess, I guess that's what I can tell you, it's something we've provided it forever. And I've done my best to keep it level instead of going up. If you're asking me to cut it, I mean.
Didn't we just sign contracts for our, electric and gas? Or agree? Did it go up 25%? Because I see that's what our heat is, 25% increase.
So I wasn't involved in signing that contract, Brian. was.
Natural gas was up $1,000 in your department, that was it.
No, you're talking about the contracts.
Well, no, I'm
You said
talking here,
25%
it went from
increase.
60,000 to 75,000.
For,
Oh, that's more than what, yeah, cause power's way up.
So 25% is gonna be the cost.
Yeah, because I think the problem is it's not on the part we contracted, it's on the delivery. You can only contract the supply.
I just wanted to make sure that was.
We think
accurate
we
number.
think it's legit, yeah.
Okay.
So a couple questions from the missing person. Why the $2,000 increase in staff training, the $20,000 increase in mileage, and where you're taking stuff disposal, and if it's gonna, for disposal, and if there's gonna be an increase with the Kingsbury transfer station closed?
Alright. 2,000 is, travel plan. That's for the New York State County Highway Superintendents. They have buildings and ground division now that they're putting together. Actually, it's been together, and I haven't gone to it for the last 2 years. Deb's been after me to go. So I threw it together. I've never had a travel plan, so I don't really know how to do it. She just helped me with it and said, well, here's what you'd have to budget for. And it would be 2 conferences for 2 people. That's what that is. And then your second question was.
20,000 in mileage.
In my carpool, so there had to be some sort of error in our carpool assessment from last year. Or the year before, something got screwy, because I went to Deb and I said, why is this so much more? And it looks like if you go back, what line is that? You have it right here?
42. It was 55.
Yeah, so
389, that's rough.
So last year, we did 40,000, and if you look 23 and 24, it was 51 and 55 and steadily going up. I had been an error on my part when I budgeted last year. You know, actually at budget time, both of yours 40 and 40. They don't equal to what we actually use. So, and they haven't for the past few years. So there's no real change in our usage. It's just what I budgeted. And the best I can tell you is I must have made a mistake the last 2 years.
Because you look at the actual.
Yes, the actual is, it was always up there.
It's $38,000.
Well, right now.
Today.
With 3 months.
Yeah, with 3 months and possibly some stuff.
You got a quarter left.
Yeah.
And the $40,000 that's actually the same year. That's adopted budget, amended budget. So you're back, here's 2024. This is.
Well, what I'm saying is 23 and 24. Our
55.
actual was both more than what I budgeted for last year. At 40, like, I guess that was an error on my part that I budgeted 40 last year. How that happened, I don't know. I'll just tell you that it must be my fault.
Man,
Wow.
how many vehicles do you have in there?
I think a total of about 9. And we also pay for certain usage with plows, skid steers, loaders, like there's every piece of equipment we use goes in and out, so they might not just be ours. I think one truck in the summer is used by the youth bureau and stuff. So our trucks come and go. I would say there's a rotation of about 8. Bridge season, all of a sudden we'll have a truck disappear, out of there, but we need them when it comes to plowing in the winter. So our main usage, and there's a different rate with a plow on versus plow off the truck.
The last question was, do you expect a increase in disposal fees at Kingsbury?
No.
These are not.
Our disposal fees are mostly the dumpsters that we have here. That we are, we're getting picked up, and I expect to clean out the Owl Street house at some point here. Gonna need a dumpster. We have dumpsters right now currently with the projects going on. It's just stuff we need to get cleaned up, and we have to give departments a way to get rid of stuff so we don't save it forever.
I want to go back to where Dan Shaw was early with the conferences and the travel. Because if you haven't been going at all, you might be able to teach it. I don't know that we need to spend $2,000 to send anybody to a conference at this point.
You sold me. Greg, that was quick. Now you're gonna have to talk to Deb.
Was there anything else?
On that. Anything else for him?
Okay, just one more question, and they're all lumped into one, but just in general, all the outside services, what's that? Is that hiring electrics, hiring?
So, yeah, so anytime we don't do the work in-house, I hire, that's how the outside contract and outside services, yeah. That's,
So we're about 200,000 a year,
so that goes back and forth, depends on our projects. I try to shoot it every year, like you have maintenance and repair. And that's us going and buying the parts versus outside contractor, and it never fails, they go like this with each other, and it depends on our projects. You know, we don't, buildings today are different, and they're getting more automated, and you have a different skill set that repairs stuff. Go ahead.
I got a question on, Johnson Control, the 13,000. You're supposed to have
What?
the hood and kitchen hood and alarm.
That's, their whole, that's your cost of service in the jail's kitchen hoods down there for that kitchen. They have the insole system, they have all the stuff that they have to have. That's, they go through and get that, we just comes out of our budget.
That's all, to meet code.
Yep, for the health department, you have to have that stuff done every year.
Okay, any, okay,
Just back to the outside services, we had a budget of 933,000 last year, and so far we've used 488. Are we gonna use the rest of that?
That sounds like a lot. Let me get, what line number is that?
I went clear down to the bottom of the contractual totals that you have a whole big long list outside service. So I was trying to get down. Some of it's repair and maintenance is all figured in now.
Oh, yeah, that's the total of all my contracts and everything
Yeah.
minus.
So we've used about half. Are you anticipating then that we're gonna be using another 400,000 here?
So I do this in this figures is the 8th month, so we're technically 75% done. I can tell you the months of November are usually, it's when all the heat fires up and things. We tend to inflate our spending at that point. I already do know that when this wasn't here, I think the 25,000 was coming out of this budget, you know, toward going. I will tell you that this year, these numbers, I think your fund or your roll up is gonna be good because we used a lot of the capital project money. My guys were working on those projects, so the spending in projects they did came out of that. So I believe to have a very good budget year this way on this stuff, only because we had a different pool of money that we were working on.
anything else?
So you're basically up 66,000, and you figure you might have done 100 to 200,000 in the capital project. The work yourself.
I know, I'm right.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, our favorite topic, parks. Revenues on 19.
So I'm clear, so that would roll over into fund balance?
Yes,
Except
that
as
will
revenue
help.
here?
Yep. You won't have to borrow for that fund balance, it'll be there.
Yeah, next year. We'll see. And we'll know.
Gives Al a little grant on his fund balance.
But he volunteered his, office money, so that's.
I usually budget those lines as kind of trends of what we're doing and as we get new equipment and everything else. And this year, the difference is the projects that are going on, capital projects, that's all.
So quickly, Hewlett's Park is $2,000 income. And Lauderdale is 16,000. So that's not really a change from.
No.
On page 80 is the,
81.
81 is Right. It's yours. And we did a lot of work last summer up the hill, so, right?
We put some money aside that last year. We did, yeah. The last 2 years, we've done quite a bit. And this year we finished, remodeling the cabin.
So that should be for next year.
We're getting there. I mean, tennis courts needs a little bit of help with that on in here. Now, this is just, I do know that the walk-in coolers at both places are aging out. And we got through the end of the season just because we didn't have much. The one in Hewlett did crap out. So they are not cheap. I'm not happy with the quotes I got yet, so I haven't done anything yet. So I'm gonna see what. I do have my refrigeration license and stuff, so I think we're gonna try to just get the materials ourselves. If I need to go up there.
How much did we actually use that cooler this summer? Are they?
Oh, yeah, they use it for, that's part of the rental of the pavilion.
Right.
So it's off when there's not any. It's like we don't leave it running. So if you come and you run it on Saturday morning, they throw the switch on, they cool it down, and you can keep your food in there. Without it, it's not near of attractive of a place to have an event because you can't cook your feet. Yeah.
Oh, I've been here.
Yeah.
Hey, man, how many of your employees you have in your department? Do you have any vacancies?
In buildings and grounds,
Yes.
we have approximately, it's like 24 or 25 on no vacancies.
Okay, thank you.
So, so I had a question.
Yeah, and the repair and maintenance for the Lake Lauderdale Park and also the general, for having the units.
Yep.
It both went up to 15,000.
Mhm.
But then you look at what the actual is, what the actual is spent. Is there, how many, is it bills coming in that make it up to that amount of money or? I mean, it's gone from 10 to 15, both categories.
That, I believe the refrigeration issue at both places. And Lauderdale,
Yeah.
we are also trying to work, we spent some money at, those last 2 years, we're trying to do more, get things back up to snuff at Lauderdale, but we also need to do some electrical work at Lauderdale. The breaker panel is an interior breaker panel, stuck on the post outside and it's weathered up and corroded pretty good, so we're probably gonna get that replaced at some point in Lauderdale before we have a problem. There is a list of projects, hopefully I try not to use it, but if I'm predicting that we're gonna have to do refrigeration, I know Hewlett's for sure. And Lauderdale, we've kind of kicked it down the road a little bit, but between this electric, there's a problem right now, whether it's the panel or the refrigeration. Hopefully it's just one or the other, not both. But this budget would keep me from coming and asking for money to do it in an emergency.
Any questions on the parks for,
Do you guys have any time, just quickly, to do things of business? Should I wait till after Jeff goes?
well, you're right here.
All right, only because with the project's going full bore, I can't afford to give up a month on a couple things. One is a change order for our electric contract at Fort Ann. No, this is coming because we've made some changes or whatever. But a total number. Middle somewhere. No, it must be sitting there. So I have a change order. I'd like to move to finance. We have money in our Fort Ann budget to cover this change order. It's just the electric contact was a smaller one and there wasn't much allowance. And when we did a few changes, we want to it's not enough to cover in the allowance. So this change order is change orders plural. We'll just do as a contract versus an allowance disbursement. And there is money in the budget to cover this in the Fort Ann budget. So
I'm gonna have to do it. I don't have my phone in, what's your phone? 13,288. 13,288. Yeah. And then 15,289. 34 cents. $3,035.65. $515.70. $515.71.
That's all one change order.
It's multiple change orders, every number I just gave you, but
And
we
the
can
separate-
wrap it up in one change order, so. The difference between an allowance disbursement and a change order is, the change order is a change to their contract total, not just part of their allowance. So it's $32,128.51. And it gets messy if you try to do half in the allowance and half in the contract, so you're just better off doing this and letting the allowance come back at the end. 32,128.51. I will tell you that.
Balance of blood pressure is okay, so you're doing good.
Yep, the one of these, actually the first one I gave you, which is, I just don't wanna come twice, is like the $15,000 one. That's not set in stone yet, that's a rep. Because I think we're gonna have to move a panel out of the water room and up. So that's kind of a change, but we don't know if that's I don't know if it's a real thing, but I'm gonna know like in the next week or two. So by finance, I'll either take it out of the,
So we won't move it in finance today. We'll wait till finance.
yes, the regular finance is fine. I'll know if we're gonna have to do that change order or not.
So you give us a new number.
It's either that number or it's that minus.
Yeah.
Finance rate. Remember that.
Just move the finance.
Not me.
Sam and John. John seconded. I'll give you a just quick rundown. Some of these change orders are due to, one, I changed the floor drains, pattern from what the original was. And they had to move their conduits out of the way, that they had already installed in the ground, so that was worth it to me to change the floor drains in the building. And then a couple of the other ones were actually National Grid. It's not the contractor's fault or our fault, but National Grid comes in and says you can't put, even after they already had their plan. They come in and say, you can't put your meter there anymore. Why? Well, because, and then they have different divisions now, so they have the construction crew, they have this, and then they have a meter crew, and then they don't all necessarily get in on the plan, so. Some of this is to change, like when we did poles, it's where the electrician had to go through with the new poles versus what was bid, so if there's some changes like that is what the general. And I don't sign off on all of them, I mean, I don't put that in one, but these are ones that they actually had to do the work there. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Harry? And then we just talked about controls, our contract for the controls, which you just saw it's budgeted for, is up. Eastern provides that service. It's they're like really a sole provider of that control service for the Northeast. I do have that part, but I just need permission. It's like 36,500. Just got it. Next year. 36,500.
1 year or is that?
That's one.
That's just a one.
That's Sam. Yeah, made a motion. John seconded. Yeah.
What do you move?
So 6,500. What I need is, it's budgeted. It's actually a little bit, I think it's budgeted for this year. I'll be able to spend it out of this paperwork for next year, and then next year will happen again. I just need permission to renew the contract. Renew the
You need a
contract.
waiver.
You need a waiver to not go
Yeah.
on the bid, that's all you need.
It's a waiver for,
Yeah.
there's a waiver form now too, so make sure you get that completed.
Okay, yes, yeah, that's not a problem. She already actually has all the backup, because we. Made a motion is a waiver. Yes. Chairman, give Sam, second by John. Any further discussion? All in favor? Very. You're gonna run away. Thanks for the use of the.
Do you have staffing requests for next year?
The staffing Want me to go over the staffing request right now?
I would.
I was just watching the one before. Staff, I didn't know if we were doing that here or what.
Yes, you should mention.
All right, so my staffing, I have a retirement that I know is coming, the maintenance supervisor position. I'm looking at kind of coordinating my department, on this retirement. So I have a few asks, I guess. One is to take that supervisor position and make it a deputy. Or we're not gonna refill the supervisor position we'll hire, so it's gonna be one less spot in the staff. What's the dollar change now?
Increase of $7,800,
What's that?
right? It's an increase of $7,800.
No,
I have a building maintenance supervisor is what you're removing, right? You're adding a deputy.
I'm not adding the spot though.
You don't have a deputy now, so you're adding a spot.
I'm adding a spot, but I'm actually getting rid of two maintenance supervisor because of this, I'm not, this is
You're combining.
yes,
You're
So-
giving up two positions and adding one.
yes. So right now I have, what's that?
I don't think that's clear in the request.
Well, I have my budget being reduced by a total of $18,269.80. That was in my request.
That's right.
Right, that's what I'd seen. And that's a couple things. That's including, my request for a raise myself. That's including the cost of going from a supervisor to a deputy, which would be, if you want to discuss the numbers now, currently, the person in the spot is making around 58,000. Or no, I'm sorry. 60,000, doesn't include overtime, right? Because that's a variable. Approximately 10,000 if we're getting at it in overtime, and that salary would go to 77. I've been working with Danielle, the secretary to superintendent, which I feel has outdone the duties of just the secretary. I mean, they run the parks. There's a lot of things that aren't in the, so a raise for her. We don't know how to do that yet. Obviously the secretary isn't a deputy. It's what position it is. She falls outside of the realm of a secretary duties with all her duties, but we don't really have a civil service title. I have in here approximately a $10,000 raise for her.
So does that mean that, that means that the secretary role, you won't have anyone in the office in the secretary role?
No.
So is there gonna be anyone in the office then?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's getting into
So what
Title. Well, she is. That's the problem. Like right now, she's handling,
working outside of her secretary.
she's working outside of that title right now. We don't have we haven't figured out the right title yet. So that's a floating number. That's just working with civil service and trying to find a title, whether it's office manager, but are you an office manager? Because there's not other people in the office to manage. So that's one of the titles, there's different things that we've talked about. We just haven't found the right fit.
I think we need to probably figure out the title and the duties before we look at a monetary,
Yeah, sure.
right? Okay.
Are you saying that actual budget line right now because of
So-
that, or if that will come out if we do that?
If we do this plan, you will have a savings of 18,000.
But it's not in this, I just want to make sure.
It's not in the budget at all.
Just so I'm clear, when you have the supervisor one that you're eliminating, they get overtime, does the deputy get overtime?
No,
Okay,
no, so that. What I did is I took his current salary, I took what that, make it a raise, like you have to, if he's working overtime, you have to make it good enough that they're
Right.
not worried about it.
Right, I just,
Yeah, I mean, he comes out to the jail, the snow, everything else, so 77,000, I think, 77,000. Was what I proposed as a salary, and that would cover, his raise, and that would cover the overtime. Let's see, so I know we keep skipping back and forth, but there's 3 or 4 things. The maintenance supervisor to retirement. I'm going off what you got, like what you asked me to do. Can we do more with less? If we do this, we can do, we can do equal, and save some money. I don't know if we can do some more. I mean, labor's changed, people retire, they're at the higher tier, they're at the higher tiers, there are higher steps. So yeah, so you're gonna have that. Obviously, you can catch back up eventually with the longer they're here.
So basically, your proposal is a slight reorganization of your department,
Yes.
no drop in services, and you bring a savings to.
There's
the
one less
overall
person, so possibly,
Yes,
there's one less retirement and possibly one less health insurance,
yes.
possibly.
So,
Yeah, that was gonna be my question on that, is because before you mentioned there was a possible retirement in 2026.
So there's possibly another retirement, which is on a different crew. I just found that out. That is my night crew, that's a cleaning crew. That retirement, I would have to. Replace. Yeah, that one I would have to replace. I mean, the duties as a cleaning are pretty important. That's a different type of thing.
we need to move this plan to personnel.
Yeah.
You'll see that. So
You'll see it's part of the global request.
Yeah, right. The only other request I had was, the plan we just talked about is based on the retirement. It's not a January 1st thing. This is more probably a July 1st plan. Like, if this person retires, this is what I like to do. He's given me the notice, multiple times over the years and giving me notes and stuff, so I don't have any reason, but I wouldn't be asking for that. That change in that sort of stuff until the July 1st. What I am asking for on January 1st, though, is my nighttime supervisor. When we hired him, he didn't have, for the civil service rules, enough experience. So we found a different title that was a little less, that he had enough experience, and we basically told him, you'll go from 12 to 15 when you get enough management experience, which he's at that, he's at that quota now. So that would just be, it was a supervisor. We knocked it back to like a cleaning something, like a grade 12. So
supervisor cleaner.
supervising cleaner, yeah. And now he's made that, step. He's got enough experience in the supervisory role to go back to this maintenance supervisor position.
Which is at about $7,000 increase.
Yes, it's 3 grades.
So when, in your calculations, you were figuring that stuff moving to July.
That other stuff would be July. That's in January, right?
so the 18,000 savings is in a half year's worth, or is that?
That 18,000 was 4 years. They were based on 4-year salary, so.
So it
So
only
it'd be
half
9,000 then.
Yeah,
So it's only
9,000 next year.
So you save about a couple if you do this one.
Yeah.
Because 7,000 goes back.
I can get more. Truthfully, I just haven't. I mean, I got numbers here, but I could dial them in, with Sue even better and give you the.
And we will when we get the
We're-
personnel. Yeah.
So we
I
have it.
did, I gave her these, which she was like, hey, thanks, you're the only one at the time, but. This is what I wanna do, and they're not far off. The numbers I'm giving you aren't skewed one way or another. We're talking, within $1,000 if I don't have the right step or grade or something.
And then you have increases for lifeguards. Is that based on the swims grant or?
And
is the swims
so
grant-
last year, we just accepted it. So last year we did a swim grant and we talked about doing the raises for the lifeguard. based on receiving the swim grant. I think we just did a motion that whole board here.
But I'm gonna repeat myself again, because I think there's a misunderstanding. You don't have a grant for next year,
Don't. We don't have a grant for next year. Yeah,
so you can't use the money you got this year to fund next year.
for next year's.
Okay.
It's gotta go in, right. We're receiving it and we have to prove what I talked about was proving
The
that,
money you just got is back this year.
yeah.
You
Which we,
can't put a request in for next year, I already haven't applied for it. I just wanna be clear on that.
But to get the grant, I believe, to get that grant, to get that reimbursement, you have to already give them the increase, because it's a
well,
reimbursement.
there was a bunch of things that we had to do and we did increase the amount of positions.
Right,
last
which
year.
is why you're,
Why
where
we
you're
could
spending
accept
this
it.
year's grant.
Yes,
So what about next year, your request for the lifeguards and the senior lifeguards? Are you looking at a grant to pay for that increase, or is that
no,
pure expense?
no. Well, what we're doing is we're receiving a grant based on the fact that we increased our amount of positions from 9 to 15 last year. In our
How are
budget.
you paying for next year's increase?
Oh, I'm not. We are receiving the 25,000 based on that. This
You
year it's
haven't even
going in.
applied for one for next year,
I don't,
and you can't pay for the increase for a grant you haven't applied for.
So Matt, in your mind, you're saying that you budgeted everything you already did this year, but because you brought in 25,000, you think that's gonna be in your budget to be able to give those raises next year? When in Al's world, it doesn't work like that.
it's coming into his general fund, but or it's going in as revenue somewhere this year.
This year,
Yep.
if you wanna give raises next year, it's either a grant or fund balance, you have to choose.
I mean,
Or taxes.
you know, personally, I don't think we should even accept it.
If you're not gonna apply for the grant, then maybe you don't do the raises.
I don't think we should accept last year's.
But how can
We already did.
I know, but
You already gave them raises.
we didn't give
No,
them
we
raises.
did not.
We
We
did not.
added staff.
That's gonna be the problem.
So we need to, or we don't need to? I guess that's the question.
I don't think we should accept.
The
Except
grant, we
for-
already
We
accepted
already
it.
accepted.
We talked about it and then we didn't have a chance to talk. since
Somebody
then.
has to put a claim in,
Yeah,
and we'll see what we get.
so,
Whatever we get's more than what we have.
okay. Because if you think about it, we accepted it for positions, but we didn't fill the position, so we didn't really spend it.
Well, you said you added staff. That was
We
part of the-
added positions
Correct.
we added positions to our,
But you didn't fill.
but we didn't get them filled.
But you said you do other things too, though, right? Other than.
Well, there's a extra class, you know, that was 2 or 3,000. of it.
Whatever we can get back, we should apply.
Right. So. Yeah, if you're gonna ask me to say we spent that 25,000 on our staff, I'm gonna tell you we didn't.
So you both get to know about that then.
But whatever.
I
we-
can't do that. That's,
No, you're gonna apply for what you actually did. Whatever you actually did, we're gonna apply for. It could be two.
we started this grant and we were going to do it this year. And it didn't come through until after last year in budget talks, we had the conversation, if you get this grant, then we'll do the raises. Well, it didn't come in time for this year, this season. But the grant has to be used on 2025 salary, which is over.
But there are some things in the grant that you did do,
Yes.
right? And we'll apply for those.
So
reimbursements.
you're right. So your $25,000 revenue is probably not gonna be 25. It's gonna
I don't
be-
care if it's two, whatever we did, we'll ask.
So my question is, do we need raises for the lifeguards in order to have them next year? Or do you think we're good where we're at? That's a bigger question.
I think,
Because lifeguards have been a problem in the past. I don't-
they definitely have been a problem in the past. Right now, currently in Hewlett's, we're in good shape. We are struggling in our southern part right now. The state swipes up a lot of, a lot of labor when it comes to, because they did the raise, right? That's what forced this, and that's what forced the grant was because they gave all their lifeguards a raise and did all the classes. That was just for so if you took their class, they gave it a free thing, then you had to work for them. Like they would only give you the class if you were gonna work for them, so they sucked up a lot of the summer help. And for a lifeguard, it's a $3 an hour raise, so. If I go tomorrow or put a you know, our parks, which are out farther, is a no brainer for a younger person.
So Matt, if we added staffing last year, budgeted, and we didn't fill it, are we still at the same staffing number that's coming into this next year, or are we gonna cut
So-
back some of the staffing?
So what we do is, Jay, what we base on our budget. I don't go, if I have 10 people and 50,000, if I went 15 people, I still have 50,000. They work less hours.
He budgets the amount of hours he's gonna staff
Okay.
it.
Yes,
Gotcha.
I budget that on hours because,
Thank you for the explanation.
yeah,
So I think,
and basically I know like right now. Some places right now in Hewlettsville, they all wanna work 40 hours if they can. It's just the group we have. At Lauderdale, they like to work 8. So you gotta have more. Like, that's the truth of it. Like, they wanna work 8 or 12 or 16, you gotta get them. So you have more to equal the time that you need, but the number doesn't go up.
I think we haven't addressed the question Brian asked, are we gonna have to give more salaries to attract the people, to fill your spots?
I think you're looking for a pay increase. It doesn't
That
necessarily
would
mean
make
the
it-
title has to go up 2 grades. You're just saying that there's a need for a pay increase.
We're talking about lifeguards.
Yeah.
I know.
Right,
me
that's, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't,
Okay.
wasn't
It would
thinking
help
of
with
the grade schedule.
recruitment.
Yeah,
You know,
that's why.
yeah, I wanna tell you, it's gonna help with recruitment, doesn't mean that I find more people,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. And keep you what you have. That's understandable.
Right,
And you're asking for a raise for yourself.
yes. Yeah, I said that earlier, but yes,
I didn't know if you were gonna share what you were asking for.
15,000. And that's based on the duties that I fill for the county and, you know, plan on filling in the future. That's not the outside real world, that's knocked back a little bit, but, I asked last year and the year before, you know, but really that's a duties, it's the duties that I'm filling.
Can you just follow up with the personnel officer just to make sure you're both on the same page with your staffing requests for next year before it comes to October?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, I've been in touch with her and in
I
fact,
know,
I
but
talked
it's
to her
not
yesterday.
coming up, so I just
There
wanna-
seems to be a disconnect, so
Yeah.
just touch back with it. The sheet that Melissa has doesn't match up, but I would just circle back with Danielle.
Okay. Yeah, I just went off what I sent her.
Yeah. Thank you. You don't want her to bring something different than what you want.
Right, wanna make sure we're on the same page when you.
I will, actually, I'll probably hit her up on the back. If there's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
All right, Stacy and, yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Good, good.
We're gonna hand
I'll know
out
better in a few minutes.
our staffing pattern.
Board of elections.
Travel plan right now.
Just 39 and 40.
I wanna say, I wanna.
Thanks, Jeff.
But I didn't put it in the red.
It's a lot of people. We just expect that.
It's the same.
Yeah.
After that, we're gonna be going to your board.
Yeah.
You have a hamburger? Curious.
So then- My fuck son.
So that's.
Don't say that out loud.
Shut up.
First is pretty general, so.
Jeff,
Are you doing script? We're not expecting any revenue. I mean, to
But we
the,
do have two grants, but I don't know if you would consider them.
but they get rolled over.
real budget.
No, yeah, that's perfect. Right, they just get rolled over.
Yeah, we don't generate.
They're all different and they're all the same.
You got it. I got it.
So no revenue until we get.
everybody?
Well, we do have some bags to sell in on surplus, but I don't think they're gonna bring a ton of money.
Did everybody get everything? You want both? Well,
I know where you're.
so if we,
Everybody got it. We're done with revenues, so move on.
Alright, so we'll start with, earnings.
39, earnings is 0, we already covered that one.
Oh, I'm doing mine over. Alright, so we're not gonna cover the buyouts and,
Now we're on expenses.
expenses, okay.
Okay, page 39 is for Board of Election.
So pretty well. No drastic changes. Our telephone actually dropped down 500. Our postage, we stayed the same. Office supplies, we just upped to 1,000. Our contract, you'll see that's a jump, but contract expenses.
That's for our cellular
Yeah.
data on our new line.
We bypassed,
We just changed to a plan where we can turn it off and then turn it back on when we're gonna be utilizing it.
If you skip right over personnel, you think your election inspector costs are gonna be?
yeah, that's what I thought.
They
Well,
were
that's what I meant.
estimated for the 24 election, it was a presidential, it's not gonna be presidential. And what I did is I took the exact number of inspectors we have, included the class hours and then each hour for each site times 2 elections.
So that 104 better reflects what we'll actually spend.
Well, no, because that's based on the 15.22 an hour, so whatever. If that rate goes up for them, then that will go up.
Well,
that.
understood, but based on the current rate,
Yes,
that's.
yes,
that's your-
exact, yep.
Yeah, I think too, what happened was we were looking at what we always look back at when we're doing our thing, look back at the other year to kind of compare. And we were looking at 24, which was a presidential year, so we kind of over, and so we recalculated.
I did.
Is next year gubernatorial?
Yes. it's
Next
governor.
year.
Will
Okay.
that negatively affect you at all, Dean?
I don't think so. I based it on, for the tax and the truck drivers and everything, based on actual hours times the pay rate of how many hours are actually gonna be worked by those people during those times.
That's all the elections that you're gonna have to staff.
Yep,
We'll have the village, the primary, and
right, but we don't staff the village. They do their own.
Right.
We just supply the machines.
And
right.
depending on this even year election law.
Right.
That won't make any
Minimum wage.
change.
don't kick
Well,
in.
no, because it's gonna be a governor's year
Right,
anyway,
you're
so we're
probably
gonna.
hear-
make it all go.
Well, it's still gonna be busy.
Yeah.
It'll be a busy election.
It's the hourly rate we pay the election inspectors.
15.22.
That's going by well.
Judge just had a question here. You asked something
What
about.
about minimum wage?
I don't know how that,
That's the rate that was given to us, so that's what we've been. When the new rates come out, that's.
It's double the federal minimum wage.
Is what?
They don't pay it.
The municipalities don't have to pay minimum wage.
Yeah.
Yeah, all municipalities are.
Well, that shows up on the page, that we get.
Overtime, we've estimated for all the like early voting and election night, because they're early and then late and then.
early going,
Contract expenses, we can cover that.
Yes, that's because of the new cellular plan for our iPads.
Yeah, travel plan, so everything covered, it's in our real line, conference line. Everything else is pretty close to.
But if you cut back on your travel plans from 2 people, from 4 down to 2, does it cut your expense in half?
The only thing is that it's beneficial for, because it's throughout the year, the election law is always changing. The state, New York State Board is there, they do the presentations, the updates. The state, council's there, they do a lot of they go over a lot of cases. It's beneficial because I mean, something we might not catch, our deputies might catch. So it's very beneficial for us to be there.
Respectfully, Jeff, that wasn't his question. Our question was, would he cut in half?
Yeah.
So I actually wasn't able to make the summer conference because we didn't know the date we we're gonna be dropping my son off. And we dropped them off the Friday before the concert, friends. But they live streamed it, so I was still able to catch most of the conference. Except for when they went into like, breakout sections.
So that answers one of the questions that we had earlier. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off, quick.
Still, that's not the answer to his question. His question was.
If two people went,
Or they
would,
would have cut it in half.
yes.
They do do the training online.
Well, the conference, except for the breakout, like, the Republican Party will meet in a separate thing. I didn't get to be in on that part.
I propose that you cut that in half. That's my opinion. I mean, you have two people, not four. It seems like two people could differentiate, or at least the pickup where somebody else is making this good point. And I'm only saying it because we need to cut somewhere. Right now, we're not cutting it. I don't think this will hurt the Board of Elections if you sent two people, and it would provide coverage at the board. I mean, I think the two departments could go and you would be safe.
Or you could even switch it up.
Well, whatever. I'm
You
just
could
saying that whatever they
one and the
determine
deputy
are
the other,
the two.
and go to the opposite.
But that's what my opinion.
Have you been to both conferences already?
I went to the winter one, I couldn't get to the summer.
Yeah, they're done for this year. This is for next year. They have one in the winter and then one in the.
They have one in Albany in the winter and then at a different place always in the summer.
So do you need a motion or do you want to just throw that out as an opinion?
Or got consensus to want to cut it in half? Just cut that line in half. Yep. And how you said it, which one you said, you figure it on your own. Mr. Okay, any other questions on the Board of Elections? So. Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, what else do we have today?
Well, I'm gonna free pass on all four of my department.
Didn't do this.
You get a free pass.
I wonder why we keep.
Wouldn't you?
Like that.
The treasurer knows what kind of dire straits we're in, so everything.
Green four?
Yep.
Green four for the treasurer's, revenue.
Start saving money.
I know, that's what.
Dave was calling me.
The treasurer speak.
Well, I would have told you that my budget is vanilla, but based on some of the conversations this morning, I will have a couple of things to discuss with you. So on my revenue side, the general services other account 2210.99.
Right.
That 99 or 15 grand.
So the $15,000 in account 2210.99 is a factor of we collect for one town and three schools at $1.50 a parcel. Based on the conversation you have with Miranda, maybe it's time to readdress that number. And since Mr. Hall is here preparing his budget, he may want to know now that if we go up to maybe $2 is the number for that collection. And that would gain, a third of the other $5,000 in revenue. And I have enough time to let Sam know yes or no to build into his budget, and the three schools yes or no to build into their 26-27 budget. So I think that's fair enough.
I think it's fair.
So I would propose to go to $2 on my collections.
Yep.
The other thing I noticed, because I just found out yesterday, in my regular earnings, part of that increase is part-timers, so they don't have to fill the full-time. What I found out yesterday is that one of my two part-time, so both my part-timers are retiree feedbackers. One of them has actually applied, retiree feedbackers. So one of them has actually applied for Social Security. So her cap isn't the retirement cap, Social Security cap, which is lower. So I'll be able to give back about 10,000 of that.
Which one?
My point one, it went up 14.
I had to go to
I'll be able to drop that down about 10.
I have to go to the.
Oh, I'm on expenses now.
Expenses.
So because her cap now has changed with Social Security, and it's lower than the retirement. Very good.
Minus 10,000.
So then we can probably drop that 10 and still be safe.
Okay.
The other,
100,000.
so the other line that obviously I want to bring up, my staff and training line is to do NICEC conferences, the accounting school for me in May, and the New World Conference for my deputy. So I would be open to any or all of those being on the chopping board, with the understanding that they might be restored at a time where we could better afford them. So if I had to give up one or all of them for 26, I would be open to that. I think they're valuable, but I also understand the position we're in. I would want them to be restored at some point, should they be taken away in 26. But I'm not gonna say that my operation would change drastically if I missed 1 year of conference.
What, out of the conferences, isn't the New World important to keep up with the changes and?
I feel they're all important, but I don't feel that my world would change drastically if I didn't go.
And is New World you can do online? Do you still pay for it if you do it online?
So New World, I don't think you can do online.
That'd be,
You only have only one person going to these respective conferences now.
In my budget, it's either me or her, it's never both.
It's never. Whereas we're having cuts to, not signing so many people, you know, because I guess I don't see.
You
it
still need the
kind of
information.
one individual.
I just wanted to throw that out there, but it's in the conversation. That so long as it was restored, I wouldn't be resistant to a change for 26.
No guarantee in restoration, Noel, so I wouldn't go down that road yet.
There's never a guarantee.
You work next year.
do they guarantee we'll be set here tomorrow
When
either?
you guys say New World's not online, I would agree. Was New World bought by Tyler Technologies?
New World is a division of Tower Technologies.
It is showing online version, the conference.
It was just chicken.
Okay, so that would be a wonderful option, Supervisor, and I would definitely look into it.
There's definitely, and that's where I understand what you're saying, though, you don't get the advantage of breakout groups, but. Okay,
But if
take good notes.
But if we get what we need, I would definitely be open to that, for sure.
You said 3 people, right?
We send 3 people right now, countywide, so. Definitely look into that, thank you. Was it aware of?
I thought I read them, because they were online up.
Well, and they're pretty tech savvy, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Okay, what else, Al?
Yeah, right.
Any other questions for Al?
Any questions on my department?
Well, it keeps going downhill, so let's, keep in mind and maybe go down
There
there.
are 3 other things that I'm responsible for. So Department 1362. 1362 is the tax advertising. And that's where all the costs for like sending out the certified letters and all that comes out of for tax enforcement. I basically kept that flat. The expenses on county acquired property, I bumped that up 500 just in case. There's some different properties, especially 3 that we didn't send to auctions and I may need to secure better. So I just want to make sure that I have the money there if that needs to happen, so. And then, I'm sorry,
What do you mean by?
so since I
Can you
didn't
come
go,
back and get him again?
no, secure access, because there's buildings on the properties that we didn't send to auction. That we may need to put some money into keeping our liability down. And then the last one is the taxes on county property. I built in a 20% increase to that based on what I saw happening here. It'd be great if that wasn't the number, but that's what I built into the budget. So it's up $5,500 as kind of a worst case scenario. Because even a 40% county increase doesn't equal a 40% increase on that line, because we're only one portion of those bills. So I built in a 20% as a safety.
What line was it?
That's the Department 1950 taxes on county property. What's your
And
show?
along those lines, and now I respect you in your opinion. we have a fund set up, we were putting every so often surplus money from sale
Yes, sir.
to reclaim, properties. If we got a fund there, an amount in that fund,
Yes, sir.
would it be wise where we're at right now financially is to eliminate that and put that back in the general fund to offset costs? I mean, is it something we can afford and maybe can't afford that?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest is there a place we should put it in your budget now to cover some of those unexpected.
So interestingly, Supervisor, I actually appreciate the question because we've never spent a dime out of it that I'm aware of.
Right. They grew pretty good.
Because that expenses on county properties that I just talked to you about,
That's what I was.
that budget has been able to absorb anything. Where that reserve would come in handy is like, we just pulled a property off the auction that has probably 1,000 tires on it. With also DEC has done some phase 1 testing on the grounds. Where that reserve comes in handy is maybe you wanted to end up taking that property and not pulling it from the auction. And you would need some money to go in, have all those tires removed and reclaimed.
Well,
So-
we haven't done that yet, right?
We haven't, nor have I asked, nor have I brought it to you as a request.
And how much money are we talking?
That's what I just gonna
12
look up.
million. Say 12 million. Put everybody at ease here.
Much more time.
Yeah, right.
It's not gonna
Costs are wicked.
You spent almost $7,000 on tire.
Don't get any, don't we get some.
Somebody see the
It's not gonna be
40s, I don't know what.
They all had to pick up.
Because
truck.
then you look at the trench silos,
free.
make that, you don't get it down, you do it fine.
I'm in with the.
301,000 sitting in their car.
300,000.
Yes, sir.
And now with everything you said, do you think it'd be wise to take that 300,000 to help reduce costs for 2026? Or do you think it would be a smart to keep that in there to ever reclaim a piece of property?
So I personally enjoy the fact that it exists because there are 2 properties right now that I really want the board to consider. The one that I just mentioned with the tires being one of them. And then there's a property that I drive by all the time, so it personally irks me. They're actually operating a business out of it in the
Yeah.
village of Fort Edward, at
Yes,
the bottom of the hill.
and that's why
We pulled that years
I
ago.
equate.
And I can't, it personally, and no offense to the owner, we made the decision to pull it as a liability. Maybe we should be investing some money in a phase 1 and get that property, but if you're operating a business out of it, maybe we should not be ignoring the fact that it's a liability and use some of that money to.
Okay, so here's I'm gonna just keep working this same question.
Yes, sir.
Will 300,000 get us one of those pieces of property to put back on the tax roll?
My fear is it might cost you more than the 300.
Right, and which we can never afford to do. So we can either keep sitting on this estate and hopefully it will grow but my thing in the picture that we painted with state law, there'll probably never be any money again for that.
You will never enjoy a surplus from the auction.
Right.
That ship has
Right.
sailed, long sailed.
Right.
So you could get rid of the tires for that.
You might be able to reclaim the tires, but then you don't know. So I know the DEC has actually done a phase 1 on the soil. We don't know the results.
We might know that want the result. That's for that, you must. Well, at least we know it's there.
That is three.
So is that fund something, if I heard our county attorney correctly, this consultant on the tax property liabilities by 15,000, is that something that could go towards something like that?
So I would have to check the language. So you set it up by resolution. So it would depend on how loose we left the language in the resolution. I think the language was for liability abatements and I know at the time that they talked about, like, there was a house that had a fire. And wouldn't it be better if the county just knocked the house down because the vacant land was probably worth more than a burned out property, right? So those were some of the conversations when it was created. It was more for reclamation and renovation to make it more marketable. The problem that I'm having with those, with that intent. Bringing more to auction is no longer a benefit to the county.
It's, I was just gonna say,
Right. The fund was to bring more at auction. There's no longer a benefit to the county to bring more at auction. So you could probably push me one way or the other, but the purpose of the fund as it originally was established no longer benefits the county. Other than maybe it gets property back on the roll that hasn't been paying for years. So you have to decide philosophically which one meets your overall goals. Right,
Now, and going in towards, land banking,
yeah,
okay? Will there be money needed to potentially go in that direction so that we can actually get demolition done at non-prevailing wages?
if I understood Brent from Ticonderoga, no.
Yeah.
We
Based
shouldn't
on what I know,
have
I
any
don't
skin
think
in the
so.
game.
Okay,
That's my understanding.
They'll take care of everything.
yeah, so they'll take care of it,
Yeah.
the property with the tires, would they do something like that?
So
Good question.
we'll definitely want to talk more about how we want to use the land bank. I don't think that a cleanup property is the best use of the land bank.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
yeah,
Disposal of tires. is
very expensive. Where we would benefit is we happen to have access to a bunch of tandem dump trucks that could at least do the hauling, because a lot of the expense for the tires is
They
gonna
can
be
load them and haul.
in the
yeah.
hauling, right? So we know some people that have some trucks, right? So we do save some of the transportation costs, but you still run into the disposal. Now, could there be some creative things like, there were companies that were shredding the tires into playground underlayment, right? So maybe there's an opportunity. But again, even after the tires are gone, until we know what the DEC has discovered on their phase one, right? Because once you're in the chain of title, you're gonna be on the chain of title for the cleanup, right? So let's make sure first what we're getting into. We've been bit in Whitehall a couple times where we just took a property, no offense, John. But we had taken a property that had tanks in the ground, and DEC was having to come knock on the door after we filed deed. So,
Well, my thought is, and this is where I hope I'm gonna, the other ones be how to do that, you can get pushed either way. Right now, if we put that 300,000 in to our budget, we're gonna save almost 1%. Out of, and it'll be the first serious percentage move we've done all day.
so
And now, wait a minute, and 1% 5 years from now, to put it back in, or 4 years, when times are better, is it a nothing? I mean, you won't even talk about 1% 4 years from now if we got a handle on things, so I think you should use it. Just because of where we're at.
well, I'm gonna make your other eyebrow raise while you're having that conversation. So if you're gonna start rating reserves, I might wanna also remind you that you have a $902,000 property reserve that you set up when you stopped paying NYMER for the insurance. That you've never used a dollar out of.
That was the one I was thinking of. So we just made 1.2.
I would never recommend you take the whole 902,000.
But let's not mix the two up, let's stick with one and then go to the next, I wanna go to the next. But
We should have maybe a policy, we can take 2/3 out of each of them, or the amount that we think we won't need for the.
But what are you doing with it, if you take 2/3 out of 300,000?
You got 200 there.
Yeah,
We didn't do
what's
any-
100,000 for, it's not.
What do you,
The reserve that we might need of that reserve that we were retaining, just like with the owner insurance, we probably should retain some of that 900,000 reserve. But that would give us 600,000. But we have to decide how much reserve we need to reserve.
Right, what's your throw up level? What level makes you feel with the risk? Right,
I think 2/3
Who
of
are
each one.
you talking to?
back to us, the board,
Oh,
the collective.
Yeah, we need other opinions, I don't wanna dominate.
I was doing
Right.
2/3 of each one. That gives us
What's
900,000.
How why the 900,000 there?
So it really was to put money aside in the event that we needed it, because we actually canceled the coverage that we had through NYMER and said, we'll just fund it, we'll self-fund any of that we need to do ourselves.
What's our 5 or 10 year loss history?
on that, we haven't touched that fund.
We haven't had a single loss.
We haven't touched this reserve, so any loss we've had has been covered by the.
None,
If we take 2/3, can we put the invest the rest in that?
I see
GM
this
thing?
The money's gonna all be fungible. all money's gonna be
Right,
invested in inventory, no matter where it is.
I'm gonna
It's
maximize
just
how much
making
is
it into
invested,
the
no matter
general
what.
Well, it's making money now.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, this is guaranteed to make money because I can't touch
You
it.
can't touch it.
And.
That's not a bad thing.
The interest on that is also stuck in that fund.
Yes, sir.
So getting it out, even the minute interest we're getting is in the general fund as well.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to add to what you said and disagree with what your proposal is. The 300,000 is something which is in the, whatever you want to call that fund, reclamation fund, let's call it. That's nothing we're gonna ever be forced into. That's something that we would choose or opt to use.
Yes,
And we would
The
find.
$900,000 one could be something we were forced into.
but you would also still have to choose. Both reserves require board action to tell.
No, but what I'm saying is one of them, you could be forced to due to circumstances. The other one will never have a port. So I say use all of the 300,000 in that one and now determine on the one where we're gambling a little bit to be maybe, I go maybe 50%. I'm a little more conservative on where we want to be with that one. So 450, 750,000.
And even if you dropped it to $500,000, you're gaining $700,000 in your regular fund balance. Here's the.
Now we're up to 2%.
So wait a minute,
But that's not off the taxes.
So that's where I was
your
gonna
fund
go.
balance.
Everything that you just said doesn't change Brian's budget.
Right.
Correct.
It just helps the fund balance. Which it needs help.
But nothing comes off the levy.
I mean, you could put that in, I guess.
Unless they're gonna appropriate that fund balance,
Right.
which defeats the purpose.
Well, which you could appropriate the fund balance, so you get it back into the system.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's what we're doing.
Dean, did you have a motion on the floor?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
750,000, 300 and,
well,
and
Yeah,
put it into the,
Separate.
this would be separate, so I think we said the first one is, if you wanna make a motion on 300,000.
yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Second by Jess.
Yeah, because it takes a formal resolution to that.
We're gonna take it all out.
And this has to go to finance, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we got the finance, yes, Jack?
I just wanted to comment on Dan, but we had that reserve set up so that we could use it on properties to recoup and make a profit either on their sale. Even now, anything, even cleaning up tires, are you ever gonna recoup that money on the taxes if it gets back on the tax rollover? If it's a prime enough property that you're getting that kind of taxes, somebody's gonna do it anyways, not us. So right now, that money is sitting there doing nothing for us.
And what this board could tell me to do is, Al, send that property at auction and let it make it the new owner's problem. If somebody wants, to your point, if somebody wants that property bad enough, they'll dispose of the tires.
But that puts us in chain of title, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we still gotta know
That's your
what
concern about
phase
phase
one.
My concern isn't the tires, it's the
We
ground.
gotta
cover.
see what the phase one totals.
If the phase one comes back clean, you'll hear a request from me to.
If we voted on that.
But the 301 has
Nobody
no
had
bearing
that,
on
just
this.
until discussion.
We're getting off.
We're not.
Well, we're ready to vote, aren't we?
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Okay,
finance?
same thing with finance. I need a motion. Move it. Sam. Darryl.
Guess I couldn't make the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here.
Now, on the 900,000. Al,
On an account by account basis, perhaps, because we have how many other accounts do we have reserves that have pretty much been staggered?
So these are the only two supervisors that I think are.
So we're on to
ones that we
the
can
next
tap.
one.
so before we make any motions, now, what number are you comfortable with? Of moving out of reserve?
I have no way to know that number, Supervisor, because again, the hope is that you never need that fund. Right? I mean,
So where would you be comfortable at?
that's a board,
600,000?
truly is a board decision.
How much of that is
How much
interest?
risk do you want to expose the county to should you need it?
It depends on the risk. We have risk in the budget this year. The risk fund balance.
Let's be honest, somebody comes after you.
You wanna make it, Jay?
Well, that's why you have 9, right?
Right.
Whatever.
I had 9 or dozen.
Whatever you decide today, what you're basically saying is, if you drop this reserve to 500,000. You would have to be willing to tap regular fund balance for anything over that amount. That's
Right.
basically what you're saying.
Yeah, which means you're just taking it all back that you're getting rid of today.
So I would go, with-
You wanna keep 500 in there?
That number feels like a nice smooth number to me.
Would,
Yeah, but there's no basis in fact on that.
Well, I want to go more, so you do the 400.
Well,
No,
I mean,
he's going 500.
only retain 500 in that account. In that fund. So is this gotta come with the us?
You govern.
No,
Well, I make a motion, we do 450,000. I don't care how smooth it is, but that's the number I
I have
want.
a motion. Do I have a second? Hogan, you're not on government ops.
Three, I have,
Sam, you are.
Yeah, I am.
we're gonna retain 458.
Right.
Right.
Yes, okay,
Question,
yes.
how much does it grow every year if it's not tapped?
It doesn't,
It stays static at 900?
right,
You just capped
the interest is swept into the regular general fund.
Right. Okay, well, general fund's losing the interest, except fund balance, right? Okay, on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So I have a follow-up. The two actions you just took only help the budget if you now direct Brian to appropriate $750,000 of fund balance.
But now, wait a minute, we
We
want to
can
get
worry-
this transferred to finance before
Right,
I go.
and we can worry about that.
I'm ready on that,
Yeah.
so.
So we need to.
We need a motion on that.
I'll
By
second
Dan,
it.
second by Dale.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I recommend or make a motion that, we apply $750,000 more in fund balance to offset the increase in 2000.
So you wanna appropriate 750,000 in fund
That's
balance?
his motion.
That's your
That's my motion.
I'll second it. Second by Sam. Any further discussion? All
Where
in
can
favor?
we target our fund balance for the end of 2025? Are we able to absorb any other shocks? Because I think we have to do long-term planning on our fund balance, unless I'm confusing the fund balance.
So
This is 750 that we hadn't looked at at all in the budget, and your 25 million that you're moving will hold this fund balance.
And of course, because of my role here, Supervisor, I would much rather
I hear you,
stay in fund balance and not be appropriate.
Yeah.
Understood. And that's what I'm trying to bring.
That's
attention.
kind of-
Where will we land the end of the year in 2025 fund balance? We have a policy to stay at 20%, which is approximately 21,
Well,
22 million.
yeah, 7
A little
million more
higher
than
now.
where we're
Now
at.
it's a lot higher.
Yeah,
We passed this budget and that's supposed to be the floor. You're not gonna be able to maintain that right now, but if we've been maintaining it, we could have maintained that floor and been at 30 instead of 22, we would have absorbed this problem a lot better. If we get a slow economy sometime in the future and sales tax drops 10 or 12%, we're gonna be even as bad as we are now then in the future, so. I don't know if I'm halfway between where Al is and you are.
I think though, if we're in discussion, you're looking at this differently than me.
Which is good.
Because right now, whatever fund balance is, whatever we want fund balance to be. All I'm saying is I want to transfer 750,000 out of 2 reserves to be applied to this year's budget. Now, the only way you can do that is it's got to pass through fund balance. So I'm not changing anything other than I'm.
right, you're not
Proposing-
depleting the current fund balance we
We're
have
not
today.
changing anything in fund balance.
But you're not making it any better either.
No, and I'm not trying to do
So-
anything to fund balance. I'm
But we are-
trying to
But
reduce.
we are making a big step. We are making a big step to reduce the amount of thing. We've now reduced the increase by 3% by the things we've done today. Cassie?
3%.
So if we did the first 2 steps, move the money out of the reserves, that last step to move it into the budget doesn't have to be done today. That can be done later on if you wanted. like, if you move it
Well,
out
it'll come in the,
to
it'll
reserve,
come in the preliminary,
and it'll be in the,
come in the preliminary budget. It's appropriated fund balance. That's what they're doing.
but if you don't do that, then it's still sitting in the general fund, and that decision can be made 2 days from now, 3 days from now, or whatever,
That's
right?
a question.
That actual decision doesn't have to be made.
And it says point of progress with Cassie's stuff down on us. Which committee did, was gonna make that recommendation though, if we.
Government goes to the
We
finance.
have to go to finance, we do it, I'm okay making that decision now, but you put a motion on, I can't.
Yeah, I did.
I already went to finance.
But that's,
We
it is the fight.
haven't voted
Yeah,
on
I
it. I thought you passed it. No, we didn't vote on making the 750 part.
And then I asked you a
Right,
question about.
so you gotta vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Wait,
Opposed?
who's voting now? Government option.
Government option.
I'll use this hand.
I'll second it for John Hope, government ops.
I'll make a motion for finance.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Or this thing.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So no one was opposed.
All right.
Well,
Anyone opposed?
not a voting member.
I do have a question, which is already covered. Yes. How much interest do we use in general fund?
43%.
Nobody doesn't on here.
28,000.
We said we were gonna claw this one to death.
Oh, on last year's rate, we're this year's rate.
So that comes out of,
Down.
does that come out of this budget?
I don't know what
Get 2% every day, you know.
The interest-
I'm sure you projected it low. The interest.
We can absorb it.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's gonna go down 3.7.
No, we took
Okay.
them off already, but that,
All right, so we made some progress.
Not
Made
even
more
the-
progress in the budget and government ops since I've been on the board. We saved 3% in the tax increase. That was a great thing for government ops to do, and that's just the first committee.
Yeah, I'm still looking for another category which we can go after. So a couple more committees.
We'll find it.
Sarah.
can I make the motion that we get out of government option with the saying?
And finance with the other one?
Yeah.
In case there's anything more, we got a left-handed motion to get out of it. Was there anything, I was gonna say, is there anything more?
So historically, every year we ended with a positive that we roll over into the next, what I kind of see.
Usually, yeah.
That's most likely. What do we think? So we rolled over a non-existent 3.5 kind of, I mean, I'm melting it all together. Is that kind of right? We
Well-
rolled over and then we had a reconciliation, which took it out of this year's.
No, you put in order to get the budget passed, we had the 3.8 million that we
3.8.
thought that would suffice. And then we try to save it. And the whole idea is to try to save it, and usually we save it. This time, we not only didn't save that, we lost $1 million besides.
Because of the reconciliation.
Right.
So where do we think we're really gonna end this year?
Well, according to who's being honest.
Flip be negative.
I haven't done that exercise yet, Supervisor.
But do you think, okay, then
It's really according
we've
to.
always been 2.5 to 3.5 for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, will we be zero or are we actually positive or
It
negative?
depends on if we get more true ups from DSS. Right.
Well, we cleared the one in August, I think. I don't,
Yeah, it was only 30,000 compared to nearly $1
those would be
million.
almost like big hits.
What's that?
Yes.
Which is an odd.
Yeah, all the savings, yeah.
Very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that-
Nice if it landed $1.5 million or two.
I mean, not of all.
Well, if we broke even, it might be a win.
A break even would be, but it doesn't look possible in the projections we got, other than if other departments.
We think they're gonna be 1.3, we landed this year's budget versus last year's. Really. We usually roll that over our next.
I'm not to do, I think I just, you gotta start communicating. I mean,
Can I make a motion with my right hand to adjourn finance committee? Seconded.
I'll second it, yeah. Second, fine.
Aye.
Well, we're adjourned?
Yeah,
Just adjourned.
yeah, but you didn't do it, so they took it on and out there.
Our second ranking member